Hi everyone, this is What If Fan. Bringing you a new fanfic. This is What If Overpowered Ichigo left Karakura town. Now with this being the 4th ongoing series, every series will have a new video every 4th day. Please find fanfic name and author name in the description and please support the author. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Let's start. Chapter 1, Arc 1, Step 1 of 1000. Ichigo stood over the barren wasteland at the outskirts of Karakura town, breathing lightly. The dust settled around Aizen's remains, revealing his bisected form. Ichigo's breathing hitched as the white skin on Aizen's back stitched together in a web of goo, regenerating his body as if Ichigo's final attack was useless. Was the final Getsuga Tensho not enough? It couldn't be possible. Holding a breath, Ichigo used Shuunpa to get down into the valley with the remnants of his power. Even that much was difficult. The madman's form had reverted close to his normal state. He no longer looked like a butterfly monster, but was still not quite human or Shinigami. Only white skin and fragments of a hollow-like mask were left of his transformation. "You have lost, Kurosaki Ichigo," Aizen declared as he slowly stood up. Ichigo could only stare, unable to retort, unable to reason how Aizen had survived the attack and still had enough Ryatsu to heal himself. The final Getsuga Tensho should have been in attack dimensions higher than Aizen's comprehension. Yet he took it head-on and lived. Impossible. Ichigo's remaining powers over darkness faded away and he slumped forward. He palmed the dusty ground for support, breathless from the shock of the sudden drop in his Ryatsu, now on the level of a lieutenant, barely. Part of him wanted to chuckle. At this moment, even Rinji would be more useful. He couldn't do a thing now, and no one else could either. "Behold, my Zanpakuto is vanishing," Aizen said, holding up his crumbling Zanpakuto. "Surely you, of all people, understand what this means." Ichigo blared in response. He understood perfectly well. Everyone would die if Aizen wasn't stopped. Everyone would die because Ichigo failed despite giving it his all. Was his best still not good enough? Aizen grinned maniacally as if he could read Ichigo's mind. "Yuzu, Karen, Chad, Orihime, Yurio, Gochin, everyone. I'm sorry," Ichigo thought as he slowly lost hope. In contrast, Aizen's expression turned into an ecstatic triumph. "The Hogyoku has decided that I do not need a Zanpakuto. You became one with your Zanpakuto and its powers, and now I am the same. No. Now that you've lost that power, I will ascend to heights far above you." Ichigo tried to get up, but he just couldn't, half because of his own weakness and loss of hope, and the rest from Aizen's beyond captain level Ryatsu pinning him down, like the weight of his flooded inner world. "Aizen," Ichigo mumbled as he once again tried to push himself up. His despair boiled into hatred, burning through his core. He gathered his fading Ryatsu to summon Zangetsu. He growled, clawing into the dirt, refusing to let this be the end. His Ryatsu only further slipped through, leaving him with only glimmers of his previous power. "This is the end, Kurosaki Ichigo!" Aizen roared. He moved to finish Ichigo off but was abruptly halted by a crimson nail of Ryatsu erupting from his chest. To Ichigo's surprise, this wasn't part of another transformation, and for several seconds, he remained still, speechless at the development. "What is this?" "Kido!" Aizen yelled in shock. Several more crimson nails then erupted from his torso. "Urahara!" Aizen yelled as he attempted to remove these red nails. This was Ichigo's chance. He gritted his teeth, pushing against the ground with every strand of Ryatsu left in his soul, clawing the dirt till his nails throbbed in pain. It wasn't enough to even stand though, not nearly enough. He could only watch as Aizen convulsed under the growing daggers. The red energy resembled Kido or a Zanpakuto ability. It wasn't Ichigo's technique, he was sure of that unless Zangetsu had something planned the whole time. That was unlikely since Ichigo himself didn't even know any damn Kido. There were only a few people he knew who could do such a thing, and they were all lying unconscious, defeated. When did something like this Aizen began but was cut off by a newcomer that Ichigo spied with the corner of his eye. Blonde hair, green cloak, and clogs. Urahara. "It appears to have finally activated," the shopkeeper emotionlessly stated, his hat and fan nowhere to be seen. Aizen spun his head to the blonde, still convulsing under the effects of the keto. Urahara Kisuk. This is your doing, the brunette demanded, scowling enough to reveal the gums of his teeth. Urahara walked up to him, appearing to measure each step with precision. Yes. Before you achieved complete transfiguration, in your most unguarded moment, I fired that keto into your body on the back of another keto, Urahara explained, pausing as the keto daggers grew. A heavyweight lifted off Ichigo's shoulders. Aizen was finished. His sacrifice was worth it. The carrot top let out a long breath and relaxed into the dirt, able to sit up straight again. Even the spiritual pressure was starting to lift now. Urahara continued with his explanation, voice stoic. It's a seal. I thought that if you fused with the Hogyoku, you would most likely become all but impossible to kill. So, I developed a keto for sealing you away. Of course, he did. He was Urahara, the shopkeeper with a multitude of plans and backup plans. What? Aizen asked with a glare, wrinkling his nose. That's impossible. Urahara considered him with an unchanging expression as the seal grew, not showing a glimmer of worry or hesitation. The white shell of Aizen's form shattered and the brunette raised his hand, examining himself with widening eyes. Well, what is this? Ichigo looked at him blankly, struggling to understand how he hadn't realized sooner, or at least noticed his reduced levels of Ryatsu. Something else must be going on at the same time internally. Something that has to do with what he had felt in the madman's blade when he caught it during their battle. Pain. Loneliness. And despair. Ichigo thought as he recalled the emotions he felt when he held Kyokusu Uegetsu for that moment. Urahara then continued with his explanation, breaking Ichigo from his thoughts. This is the will of the Hogyoku, the blonde stated, gesturing to the swirling purple orb in Aizen's chest. The reason the seal I fired at you before has finally activated is because your power has weakened. Weakened from Mujutsu, that much was obvious, although. Ichigo furrowed his brow, not sure what to make of that revelation. He disagreed with Urahara's explanation. To him, it felt like Aizen wanted to lose his power as if it was part of his plan. Lost in thought, Ichigo didn't notice a purple thread floating in the air, slowly and swiftly sneaking towards him. How? Aizen stuttered and Ichigo glared at his words, his demeanor. Something was off. Unnoticed by Ichigo, the purple thread reached its goal and touched the carrot top. The Hogyoku was saying that it does not recognize you as its mass dash. Ha-hey-ah. Ichigo interrupted Urahara with a yell as a purple and green light shot out of Aizen and hit him. Shortly after it ended, Ichigo collapsed and Aizen began to break down into blue particles. So, the Hogyoku did choose a new master. Good luck, Ichigo. Aizen whispered before his entire body disintegrated to erasure. Urahara grabbed the unconscious hero and took him to the 4th division. Scene change, Mindscape. Where am I? Ichigo thought. Looking around, Ichigo quickly realized that he was in his Mindscape, but this time, the world looked completely different. No longer was it the underwater Karakura town Ichigo saw last time he came here, instead, the skyscrapers are right side up and there are trees and mountains all over the place. What the Ichigo pondered. Welcome back Ichigo, Tensa Zangetsu stated. He was still in his fusion form when Ichigo learned the final Getsu ga Tensho. Tensa Zangetsu. What happened here? Ichigo asked. Well, that question should be addressed to them, Tensa Zangetsu replied, pointing off to the distance. Looking at where his partner was pointing at, Ichigo saw 2 other beings walking towards them. One was a female about 5 feet and 11 inches with green eyes and long green shoulder-length hair. She was wearing a traditional green kimono with blue waves decorate the bottom and tied up with an obi that showed her amazing curves. The other woman looked like a mirror copy of the First Lady, but her eyes and hair were purple instead of green. Her kimono is also purple and decorated with white butterflies. Who are you, ladies? How did you get here? Ichigo questioned. You're a silly boy. Understandably, you do not recognize us. The lady with the purple hair replied. Unfortunately, we were just used by your recent foe. The lady in green stated. Wait, used by my recent foe, your Kyoka Suigetsu. Ichigo concluded as he looked at the lady in green. And you must be the Hogyoku, he added while looking at the lady in purple. You're smarter than I believed. That's a surprise, Kyoka taunted. So, how did you two end up here? Ichigo asked, ignoring Kyoka's comment. Well, when Aizen was hit by your attack, I realized that he did not deserve my power, so I decided to leave him. I then saw that Kyoka's bond with him was severed and asked her if she wanted to come with me. Hogyoku explained. And I said yes, Kyoka added. Okay, Ichigo sighed. Now then, what is going to happen now? Well, you are still going to temporarily lose your Shinigami powers, just as planned. However, all of us are going to retrain you for 3 years. During that time, no one will be able to sense your Ryatsu at all. Hogyoku stated. Wait, if I don't have any Ryatsu, how will I talk to you? Ichigo asked. Normally, that is true, you should not be able to talk to us. But when have you ever been normal? Additionally, you will also be able to train here, in your Mindscape. Hogyoku explained. Ichigo, we want you to tell no one that this is happening. Tensa Zangetsu asked of his king. Why Tensa? Ichigo asked. There is a lot of reasons why, Tensa started. The first is that, when the Shinigami find out that you still have your powers, they might capture you, or worse, kill you. The next reason is that no Shinigami has ever had 2 different Zanpakuto spirits. If Soul Society finds out that you have 2 different Zanpakuto spirits, they will do whatever it takes to capture you, especially if the other Zanpakuto is Kyoka Suigetsu. Ichigo's eyes widened with Tensa Zangetsu's words. It would get even worse if they discover that you possess the Hogyoku as well. Finally, if anyone else discovers your heritage, they will order your destruction. Tensa concluded. Wait, what? Ichigo yelled in shock. Explain. Tensa Zangetsu then slowly separated into the younger version of Zangetsu and the bleached version of Ichigo. Ichigo, please allow me to fully explain before you ask any questions. Tensa Zangetsu asked before explaining himself. Your heritage is special, it's practically a miracle that you're still alive considering what you are. As you have seen earlier, your father was a Shinigami, a Taicho whose family can be traced back to the founding of Soul Society. Your mother, on the other hand, was a pure-blood Quincy. Yes, Ichigo, you are related to your friend Uryu. Tensa revealed, much to Ichigo's further shock. Your mother was attacked by a hollow named White and got infected with hollow Ryatsu. It was killing her, so your father stepped in and stopped it from killing her. However, when you were born, it passed down to you. You, Ichigo, are the perfect hybrid of Shinigami, Quincy, and Hollow. Tensa Zangetsu finished. So, if you are not Zangetsu then, who are you and where is the real Zangetsu? Ichigo asked. Silly king. Who do you think is Zangetsu? Ichigo heard behind him. He turned and saw his Hollow. What do you mean? He questioned. Remember what I told you when we first met, King? The Hollow stood there as he recalled what his Hollow told him long ago. That Zangetsu thing you're talking about, aren't you holding it right there? Or maybe, could it possibly be the one that I have here? I am Zangetsu. So, during all those times, you have been trying to tell me that you are my real Zanpakuto. So, if you're Zangetsu, then who are you? Ichigo asked to Tensa. Well, Ichigo, I am the manifestation of your Quincy powers. My name is Yawatch. I will teach you the ways of the Quincies since it is your heritage. The newly dubbed Yawatch stated. We'll talk more later, Ichigo. You are needed back outside, now. Kyoka said. Alright, then. I'll talk to you all later. Ichigo promised. Scene change, outside. When Ichigo collapsed, Urahara quickly grabbed his body and brought him to the 4th squad for medical care. The healers quickly finished healing all physical damage, but Ichigo ended up in a coma-like state. Many people went to see the hero of the Winter War once the healers said it was fine to visit. Ichigo remained in that state for about 2 days, and Urahara soon told the Shinigami that the teen needed to go back to the human world. He explained that Ichigo was slowly losing his Ryatsu due to the final Getsuga Tensho. They then transport him back Urahara Shoten, and, a few hours later, Ichigo woke up. "Did we win?" was the first question that Ichigo asked. "Yes, Ichigo, we won. Aizen is dead." Urahara answered with a smile. "I see. Are we still in Soul Society?" "No. We got you back to the human world." "All right. How long until I lose all of my Ryatsu, then?" Ichigo questioned with a frown. "Well, according to my calculations, I believe you have a few hours left before you lose it all," Urahara said with a frown of his own. "All right then." Ichigo nodded. "Who is here right now?" "Well, your human friends, Kachiki-san and Aburai-san, they are all here." "Can I talk to them?" Ichigo asked as he sat upon his futon. "Sure, I will call them in." Urahara agreed, getting up and leaving the room. A few moments later in Rukia, Chad, Oraheim, Rinji, Uryu, Tatsuki, Chizuru, Kigo, Mizuiro, Yuzu, Karen, and his father walked in. "Hello everyone, as you know I have a few hours left, so I want to tell you everything that happened in these few months." Ichigo then started retelling his journey as a substitute Shinigami, rescuing Rukia and later Oraheim and the battle with Aizen. "Alright then, is the Ichigo suddenly yelled in pain. "What is going on?" Yuzu and Karen asked, shocked and worried over their older brother. "It's finally happening. Ichigo is losing all of his remaining Ryatsu," Ishin said. "Everyone, thanks for your support and help throughout this journey," Ichigo told them before the pain took over and he fell unconscious. 1 month later. Ichigo woke up a few days later and Urahara quickly explained that, due to using the final Getsuga Tensho, he lost all of his Ryatsu. The shopkeeper then quickly brought Ichigo to his body and placed his soul back in it. During the following days, Ichigo finally lost his Ryatsu and the ability to see spirits. Currently, a month has passed since the end of the Winter War and Ichigo already noticed an immediate change between him and his friends. When Ichigo asked to talk to either Chad, Oraheim or Uryu, they would make an excuse to leave him hanging. Ichigo soon realized that his former friends either think he can't handle not associating with spirits or no longer want to associate with him. This sudden change in attitude from his friends made Ichigo doubt their friendship. The feeling only got worse when it was explained to him that, even when he regains access to his powers, no one will be able to sense his Ryatsu. "Hey, Hogyoku, it has been 1 month, can you finally explain to me how come no one can feel my Ryatsu?" Ichigo asked the purple-haired beauty. However, it was Kyoka that answered him. "Well, Ichigo-kun, the reason is very simple. Your Ryatsu is completely different from all of your friends and family." Kyoka explained. "It is composed of Shinigami, Hollow, and Quincy Ryatsu all working in harmony." "What do you mean working in harmony?" Ichigo asked. "Ichigo-kun, think of it as a 3-way scale." A picture of a scale with a shape on it appeared. The upper left side represents your Shinigami side, the upper right is your Hollow side, and the lower central side is your Quincy side. Do you understand right now? "Yes, Kyoka," Ichigo replied. "Good. Now, when you just started to use your powers, you would use most of your Shinigami Ryatsu." Kyoka began and Ichigo saw that the scale dramatically dropped to the upper left side. As time progressed on, you slowly used your Hollow Ryatsu as well. The upper right began to lower itself about halfway, where the upper left side is. When you used the final Getsuga Tensho, that's when officially your Shinigami and Hollow Ryatsu synchronized while your Quincy Ryatsu unofficially synchronized. But now, you officially accepted all 3 types of Ryatsu, making all balanced out. Kyoka finished and the scales plates were perfectly balanced. "That explains how strong my Ryatsu can become, but how come I could sense Aizen's Ryatsu but he couldn't sense mine?" Ichigo inquired. "Well, think of all of this as a hierarchy of the Dark Ages. The 3 individual races and all imbalanced beings are the slaves. The beings with a balance between 2 of the 3 races, for this instance Aizen and natural Arankars, are the nobles. While you Ichigo now have a balance of all three races, making you the king. Kyoka explained in detail. Wait, if the wizards and unnatural Arankars find real balance, they would be on the same level as Aizen? Ichigo asked. Yes, king. The Arankars could, theoretically, find balance and become the same level as Aizen. But, for the wizards, their hollow is unnatural since Aizen inserted it in when their soul was already dead. Zangetsu answered. So, from now on, no one will be able to detect my Ryatsu? Ichigo asked for clarification's sakes. Yes, Ichigo. Even if you touch your badge, Soul Society will not be able to detect your Ryatsu. Kyoka assured him. What do you mean by that? Ichigo asked. Urahara didn't tell you? Kyoka asked in response. Tell me what? The badge that Soul Society gave you is a surveillance device for Soul Society and a device to absorb, analyze, and control the user's Ryatsu. It is also a device for communicating with Soul Society either one way or two ways. Kyoka revealed. So, all this time, Soul Society was spying on me and listening to private discussions? Ichigo questioned with an angry frown. Yes, Kyoka answered. Thinking back, it does make sense. Even though I don't like it. Ichigo concluded with a sigh. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Well, Ichigo, I think you should rejoin karate, Yawatch told the teen. Why? Karate will help you with Hakuta and possible Ho-Ho, Yawatch explained his reasoning. It would also explain why you are getting physically stronger. What do you mean? Ichigo asked. Ichigo, haven't you noticed Hogyoku hasn't shown up and said anything since we all first met you? Kyoka inquired. Now that you mentioned it, I haven't seen her since. How come? She is currently modifying your body to not only to handle all the extra Ryatsu but allow you to use most of your powers without destroying your body, Kyoka explained. I see, Ichigo said. Now, back to my explanation, Yawatch redirected the conversation. While your Ryatsu is reforming, doing these things will help you when we train you in your Mindscape. Also, I want you to spend some time and look up various weapons. Yawatch stated. Why? Ichigo asked. Well, Ichigo, for the last 3 months, what do you think you have been using as a weapon? Yawatch asked. A Zanpakuto? Ichigo guessed. Wrong. That sword you wield was made from me manipulating the erasure in the atmosphere and combining it with your Ryuryoku to create that sword. Yawatch revealed. So, you want me to use this technique to make other weapons when I fight? Ichigo guessed. Yes, Yawatch answered. Don't Quincies only use bows and arrows? Ichigo questioned. The only limitations to a Quincy is creativity and how much Ryuryoku they can produce, Yawatch told him. So, modernize the Quincy weaponry. What about the other stuff that Ishida has? Well, yes. I want you to modernize the Quincy weaponry. But items such as Seal Schneider and Ginjo, I believe will not be needed. Also, I will teach you other techniques that Quincy's has available such as Hirenkyaku, Blutvene, and possible Volstandig. Yawatch said. In the topic of teaching, I will teach you all the things that Aizen knows. Even though he was a psychotic mastermind, he knew how to teach. You will learn everything and then some, Ichigo. Kyoka added. And from me, King, you will master all the hollow techniques I have to offer. Firing Siros and a few Gran Ray Siro, opening Gargantas, high-speed regeneration for all the wounds, Hierro to prevent damage, Sonido, Pesquisa, and even Resurrección. Zangetsu added. Shit. That is a lot of things to learn and on top of going to school. Ichigo grimaced. Ichigo, I can manipulate your Mindscape so that it acts like the Dong-Eye. Hogyoku began. The time dilation will be 1 hour outside equaling 2 months in your Mindscape. What will my new schedule look like? The teen asked. Look at this paper we made for you. Hogyoku said and gave a piece of paper to Ichigo. Front side. 5 to 5:15, wake up and warm up. 5:15 to 6 o'clock running. 6 to 6:15, cool down stretches. 6:15 to 6:30 shower and get ready for school. 6:30 to 7:30 eat breakfast/get to school. 7:30 to 8 o'clock homeroom. 8 to 8:50 first period. 8:50 to 9 o'clock transition. 9 to 9:50 second period. 9:50 to 10 o'clock transition. 10 to 10:50 third period. 10:50 to 11 o'clock transition. 11 to 11:50 fourth period. 11:50 to 12:50 lunch. 12:50 to 1300 hours transition. 13 to 13:50 fifth period. 13:50 to 1400 hours transition. 14 to 14:50 sixth period. 14:50 to 1700 hours extra activities. 17 to 1800 hours homework. 18 to 18:30 dinner. 18:30 to 2100 hours free time. 21 to 2200 hours Mindscape training, look at the backside. 22 to 5 o'clock sleep. Backside. Week 1, Hakuda. Week 2, Kido. Week 3, Zenjutsu. Week 4, Ho-Ho. Week 5, Zanpakuto training. Week 6, Hollow training. Week 7, Quincy training. Week 8, miscellaneous training. Wow, this is going to be very long. Ichigo stated, a bit shocked at how busy he will be from now on. Wait. What is going to be in miscellaneous training? Good of you to ask, Ichigo. Miscellaneous training includes a lot of things. Some of them include studying different languages, history of all three species, legends of other species, cooking and more. You Ichigo will be the strongest, most powerful, and most elegant war machine. Kyoka said. Alright then. Let's get this thing started. Ichigo said, knowing it was going to be hell. Next day. Following the suggestion from his spirits, Ichigo decided to confront Tatsuki about rejoining Furin Hall, 1, that day at school. Hey, Tatsuki. Can I talk to you privately? Ichigo asked his childhood friend during lunchtime. Sure Ichigo, Tatsuki replied, hiding the questionable thoughts in her mind. The two soon walked to the empty roof. So what do you want to ask me about? Tatsuki asked. Well, I was wondering if you still go to Furin Hall. You know, the dojo we went to when we were younger? Ichigo asked. Why? Tatsuki asked with a raised eyebrow. Tatsuki, do you still go to Furin Hall? Ichigo asked again. I do, why? I was wondering if I could join you there. The former Shinigami inquired. What? Tatsuki shouted in surprise, absolutely astonished at the question. She hadn't expected Ichigo to ask her about something like this. Why? Well, mainly for some closure. Ichigo began. Out of the four of us, I am the only one who doesn't have anything to reconnect me back to society. Look at the others, Chad has his music, Oraheim has her cooking and Ishida has his sewing. However, all I know how to do, is fighting. Ichigo explained, turning towards the city and holding onto the railing. I decided that if the only thing I have reconnecting me back from the spiritual world is fighting, I might as well use it to my advantage. He concluded. I see, Tatsuki said. Well, yes, I still go to Furin Hall. If you're interested in coming back, go there on the weekends from 9 to 12 o'clock. Why? Ichigo asked. If I remembered right, there are 2 classes during the week about an hour half each. Those classes are for general students from white to red belts, too. While the weekend classes are for black belts or special people with recommendations. I am a black belt instructor who teaches most of the classes. However, at the weekend, I can spar. She explained. Okay. Thanks. Also after school, can you ask the captains of each school club to meet me here at the roof? Ichigo asked. Why? Well, you see, before all the Shinigami stuff happened, many of them were willing to pay for my services to their teams. I've recently decided to work with them to plan a schedule to rent my services to the teams. Ichigo explained. What? Why? Tatsuki asked. I want to do this for 2 reasons. 1, for the extra money. I don't want to depend on my dad for my stuff. 2, doing all of this will likely get me positive publicity and may get me a few scholarships for college. 3, it gives me fewer reasons to get involved with Soul Society, if I ever get my powers back. Ichigo explained and Tatsuki gave it some thoughts. The first 2 reasons are logical. The sports club did ask Ichigo for assistance before. And the third is something I agree with absolutely. Dragging a 15-year-old to war is not something I like. Okay, Ichigo, I will help you with that. Tatsuki agreed. Thanks, Ichigo said, and they then both left back to class. Same day, afternoon. Hey, do you know why Arisawa-san called us up here? Tetsuo Mamahara asked. He has black hair, thick eyebrows, and a small plaster on his forehead. He currently wore a white GI with a black belt tied to his waist. I don't know. All she told me was that, if we wanted Kurosaki's help, we had to meet up at the roof after school. Satoda Natsue, 3, said. He has short brown hair and brown eyes and wore the standard Karakura high school uniform. Well, if he doesn't show up in a few minutes, I'm leaving. Mizuho Asano stated. She has long brown hair tied up in a ponytail with a purple hairpiece and long bangs on both sides of her face. She has slightly thick eyebrows and brown eyes and was currently wearing the Karakura high school uniform. Asano, calm down or you will get wrinkles. Shizuka Nanami, 4, teased. She has long reddish-orange hair that is waist-length, with several strands next to her head sticking out in a spiky manner, her short bangs clipped together by several hairpins to frame her face. Shizuka also has brown eyes and, like almost everyone at the roof, wearing the Karakura high school uniform. Ryo Konita was sitting on the floor reading her book instead of talking like the other captains. She has long black hair, a mole under her left eye, and was also currently wearing the standard Karakura high school uniform. All of you shut up. Kurosaki is here. Ichiro Shinjo, 4, stated. He has long, curly blonde hair and blue eyes. Like the others, he wore his Karakura high school uniform, but with the addition of a pair of purplish-brown gloves. At his statement, everyone looked at the stairs to see Ichigo walking up with a small notebook in hand. Thank you all for showing up. I do apologize for my lateness. Ichigo began. Now, all of you are here because you need my services at various sport events. Is that correct? Yes. The members of the sports teams confirmed. Very well. I've recently decided to loan my services to you all. You will tell me about every game 1 week in advance to get it incorporated into my schedule. For sports that are 1 round, such as soccer, the price for 1 game is 2,000 yen. For the sports that are multiple rounds such as karate, archery, boxing, kendo, track and field, the price will be at least 2,000 yen and no more than 3,500 yen. Ichigo explained. I will accept the payment in full after the event is over or the day after. If you cannot pay at that time, tell me a set day when you will pay. Are there any questions? Will you attend practice? Mamahara asked. And you are? Ichigo asked. I'm Mamahara Tetsuo. I am the current vice captain for the karate class. The brunette introduced himself. Well, Mamahara, I do not see the need for me to show up to practice since, mostly, it is independent, Ichigo replied. What about soccer? Natsue asked. And you are? Ichigo questioned. I am Satoda Natsue. I am the vice captain of the soccer team and the older sister to Mehana Natsue. Natsue replied. Okay. That explains why you look familiar. Well, to answer your question. I will only attend the practice before the game and it will cost you an additional 500 yen. Ichigo said. He then passed around his notebook for everyone to sign a copy of the agreement and take their copy. After the agreements were signed, Ichigo asked them for the date of the first competition for each game. They all told him the days and Ichigo noted which one overlapped with each other in his schedule. Once everything scheduled, all the captains left, leaving Ichigo alone on the roof. The Carrot Top teen looked at the planner and smiled a bit. Each sport landed perfectly in the open 2 hours he had on the weekdays. As for karate, the karate tournaments were once a month on Saturday, so he will miss one day with Tatsuki at Furin Hall. Ichigo closed his book and went home, having told the captains he would start tomorrow. Same day, evening. Tadaima, I'm home, Ichigo stated as he opened the door. Okura Nasai, Oniai-san, welcome home, older brother, Yuzu yelled from the kitchen. Are Karen or Gochin home? Ichigo asked. No. Tu-san left somewhere and Karen said she was going to a friend's house. Yuzu replied. Okay. Well, if you need me, Yuzu, I'll be in my room doing homework. Ichigo told his sister as he climbed up the stairs and went to his room. He sat down on his desk and opened out his notebook before writing down his updated schedule. The first week, Monday of the month, track and field completion. The first week, Thursday of the month, soccer game. The second week, Tuesday of the month, boxing tournaments. The third week, Wednesday of the month, archery completion. Extra practice is available every day except on weekend from 15 to 1600 hours. The third week, Friday of the month, kendo tournaments. Extra practice is available every day except on weekend from 16 to 1700 hours. The fourth week, Saturday of the month, karate tournaments. Saturdays and Sundays from 9 to 12 o'clock at Furin Hall. Don't know how I got very lucky with this schedule. Ichigo thought. Yes, you did, Ichigo. Yawatch agreed. I agree with Yawatch. The best thing about this is that these sports will help with your training. Archery will allow you to practice your aiming and teach you how to use a bow. Kendo will also serve as practice for Zenjutsu. Kyoka added. Well, let's get this party started. Ichigo thought. 2 months later. The next 2 months went like a blur for Ichigo, but, overall, everything was going well. Many of Ichigo's former friends were surprised by his new lifestyle and, when they tried to confront him, he simply told them that it was none of your business. All around, many of the citizens at Karakura town also started to see Ichigo as, not a delinquent, but as something else. With Ichigo participating in these sports clubs, Karakura High School began to get more recognition and other sports captains of sports such as tennis, swimming, basketball, and baseball asked Ichigo for his assistance. He agreed but, unlike the first contract with karate, kendo, soccer, boxing, archery and track and field clubs, their contract was 4,000 yen for his assistance. Their sports would also be his second priority since they didn't answer when Ichigo first called them. Many students at Karakura High School have come to like the new Ichigo since he helped the school out overall. One by one, students that have been bullied before began to share their stories. They all mention one key detail: Ichigo intervened and defended them from the bullies. By the end of that week, Ichigo's fame grew into higher heights and, by the end of the school year, he was considered the most popular person in the entire town thanks to his amazing sports skills and heroic actions against bullies. The police also took a look at crime rates since Ichigo's middle school years to now and noticed that crime is at an all-time low. Many people credit it to Ichigo, much to his surprise. Lastly are his grades. Even with all this going on and how busy he was all the time, Ichigo somehow managed to go neck and neck with Yuri for first place in the entire grade. Now, on March 17th, Ichigo climbed out of his window and sat outside on the roof to stare at the moon. These have been some long 6 months. Ichigo thought as he stared at the moon. It has. Yawatch appeared, drinking some whiskey while also staring at the moon. And to think we have come this far since the moment Rukia stabbed me with her sword. Ichigo thought. Yes, Yawatch replied. But amidst all this, Kyoka appeared and cuddled herself on Ichigo's left side. You have done well. Hogyoku appeared on his right side and cuddled herself to the teen too. Ichigo immediately put his respective arms around them and brought them closer. I have. Zangetsu, you can come out if you want. With that, Zangetsu also came out and laid down a few feet away from his king. I agree. I may be the embodiment of your instincts, but I do agree that this is nice. Zangetsu said. Everyone continued to stare at the moon, Ichigo thinking back to how much his life has changed these past 6 months. It all started on July 10, 2004-5, when Rukia came to my room and my family and I were attacked by a hollow. That was the night that I first awoke my powers. Then, on August 1st, I lost my temporary powers and began the training to awaken my true powers. On August 10th we began the rescue mission to save Rukia. October 1st to 15th was dealing with those vampire ripoffs called Bounce. After that was the Kasumiyaji and dealing with politics for another few weeks. Then Senna came and we dealt with her for a week. Then Toshiro crashing here due to his old friend, Sojiro Kosaka, coming back for revenge. On November 20th, Muramasa and his Zanpakuto rebellion happened. On the 30th, Yami and Ulquiorra came and later Ginjo and I fought. Then I had to deal with the Vizards. Stupid Aizen using physiological warfare with Oraheim. Later dealing with him and the remaining Espada attacking Karakura town. And, finally, killing Aizen on January 21, 2005. Ichigo recalled everything that he was involved in the past 6 months. Ichigo eventually fell asleep in the arms of Kyoka and Hogyoku. Both ladies gently lifted their master back to his room and placed him on his bed. They both stole a quick peck to his cheeks before going back to his Mindscape. Yes, more blackmail, Zangetsu stated with a smirk. Yawatch then came behind him and slammed his empty glass on Zangetsu's head. "Shut up," Yawatch said. "Fine, you killjoy," Zangetsu replied before going back to Ichigo's Mindscape. "Rest well, Ichigo." Yawatch wished as he pulled the blanket over Ichigo's body before also going back to the Mindscape. Next morning. Beep. Beep. Ichigo's alarm rang at 5 in the morning. He turned it off and began to change to a t-shirt and running shorts. At 5:15, he saw both Yuzu and Karen coming down dressed in sports tops and shorts. They all then left the house and began to jog around Karakura town. After the first few weeks, Yuzu and Karen asked if they could join their brother on his runs around the town. Ichigo allowed them to but told to take a slower pace. Time passed and Yuzu and Karen could keep up with Ichigo when he wasn't sprinting or running at a fast pace. 10 minutes into their run, Tatsuki joined the group and they all ran around the town, waving hello to the other early risers. Soon 6 o'clock came around and Tatsuki ran back to her house while the siblings returned home. They did their cool-down stretches and took showers before Ichigo came down to the kitchen to make breakfast since it was his turn. Due to his wish to learn how to cook, Ichigo and Yuzu had agreed to take turns making breakfast. By 7:30, Ichigo was walking out of the house. He greeted the various neighbors and other people working as he made his way towards school, going to his homeroom as soon as he arrived. Since today was the last day of school before summer break, everyone would have a half day and one of the highlights of today was the announcement of who got the highest grades in each class as well as the highest grade in the entire section. Many people have been putting bets on who would be on top, the most bets being on Uryu and Ichigo. Even the teachers got involved in the action. For final exams, once the students are finished, the teachers seal the exams in boxes, which are randomly shipped to another high school. That high school would then grade the exams and box the results before sending them back to the original school. As soon as Ichigo sat down, the bell rang for class to begin. Oki-sensei came in and stood by the podium. The students stood up, went to attention, bowed at the teacher and sat down. "Morning, everyone." Oki-sensei greeted. "Morning, Oki-sensei." Everyone replied. "All right, then. I know everyone is betting on either Kurosaki or Ishida for who got the highest score." Oki-sensei said, bringing out the envelope before unsealing it and pulling out a piece of paper. "Now then. This year's student with the highest grades on the exams is Kugo Asano." Oki-sensei yelled. Everyone yelled in shock and disbelief. A big click was then heard and everyone focused on Oki-sensei, who had her phone out and was laughing. "Oh my god. You should all see your faces." Oki-sensei laughed out loud, everyone glaring at her until she stopped. Okay. Here are the real results." Oki-sensei pulled another envelope and unsealed it. This year's student with the highest grades on the exams is Kurosaki Ichigo. She yelled, causing Ichigo to smile. Ishida, hearing the results, walked over to Ichigo's desk, causing everyone to stop what they were doing and look at them. Well, Kurosaki, congratulations on getting it this year. Uryu congratulated his estranged friend. Thanks. Maybe you'll have better luck next year. Ichigo said and raised his hand for a handshake. I do not need your luck. I'll keep mine. Uryu replied, but accepted the handshake nonetheless, causing the class to cheer at the sportsmanship between the two smartest students in their grade. Later at noon. Soon the bell rang, signaling the end of another school year. Ichigo was walking out of the school gate when he noticed someone staring at him. The man staring at him appeared to be middle-aged and wore thin, frameless glasses and a plain gray suit with a light blue shirt and a tie adorned with Quincy crosses. He has narrow blue eyes and is fair-skinned with white hair. For a second, Ichigo thought he was like an older version Uryu. Hello, Ichigo. The man greeted. Who are you? Ichigo asked the stranger. My name is Ishida Ryukin. The albino introduced himself. So you're Urio's dad? Ichigo guessed. You're way smarter than your father, it seems. Ryukin complimented. You know my father? Ichigo questioned. I do. Do you want to go to a cafe to talk about this? Ryukin suggested. Sure. Ichigo agreed and got into the car with Urio's dad. They soon drove to a cafe and sat at a booth away from the majority of the other customers. A waitress came by to take their order and Ichigo asked for tea while Ryukin ordered a black coffee. So, how much has your father told you about your mother? Ryukin asked. Nothing, Ishida-san, Ichigo answered, questioning his formality with this man. Call me Aji-san. Aji is fine too. The newly dubbed Aji-san stated. Aji-san? Ichigo questioned. Yes. You see, your mother and I were one of the few pure-blood Quincies left. My mother, your grandmother, adopted Masaki to be my wife to keep the pure bloodline pure. Ryukin started. However, one day, she saw your father fighting another Hollow. Due to how much Ryatsu their battle caused, it attracted Masaki's attention and she left to join the battle. The Hollow they fought was almost completely black with a white mask and its light-colored hair reached down to the middle of its back. It also had two long, forward-pointing horns protruding from the sides of its head and its hollow hole, located in its upper chest, was filled in. Another interesting aspect of the Hollow were two blades in place of its forearms. Ryukin described the Hollow, which made Ichigo recall the masked Zangetsu used when they fought in Bankai. Masaki saw how Isshin was struggling, so she intervened when the Hollow was about to inflict the final blow. She fired a High League file at the Hollow and it stopped attacking your father to charge at her. She attempted to shoot it down with more of her High League file, but it dodged them all. Masaki concluded that the Hollow was too fast, so she allowed the Hollow to bite her hand before shooting another High League file straight at its head, successfully killing it. Ryukin described the fight, Ichigo grimacing at the part where his mother let the Hollow bite her. A few days later, Masaki started to have a hollow hole form on her chest. I quickly grabbed her and ran off. While running with Masaki in my arms, a Hollow appeared and was about to attack. Luckily, though, Isshin was there to kill it. Urahara then also showed up and took us to his shop, where he explained that Masaki was going through soul suicide. Luckily, he had already invented a way to stop it. It requires a human and Shinigami soul to balance out the Hollow and Quincy soul. Isshin entered the Jigai, thus stopping Masaki from going through soul suicide at the cost of his Shinigami powers. Ryukin finished. I see. Ichigo said. By the end of the story, Ichigo had finished his tea and got up to leave. Wait. Ryukin pulled Ichigo back to his seat. I want to give you something that belonged to your mother's. He pulled what appeared to be a small white case with the Quincy cross on the box. When your mother passed away, Isshin gave me Masaki's Quincy cross. I decided that you should have it. Your mother would want you to. Ryukin told him and gave the box to Ichigo. When the teen opened the box, he had some flashbacks of when he was younger and saw this cross on her neck. "Thank you, Aji-san." Ichigo thanked. "You're welcome." Masaki also asked me to commission 2 bracelets for Yuzu and Karen when they were born. I have them right here. Ryukin told him and brought out another 2 white boxes. "Please give these to them. You may tell them the same story that I told you if you wish." Ryukin asked, handing the 2 boxes to Ichigo. "I will, Aji-san," Ichigo said before standing up. He went to take out his wallet to pay for the drinks, but Ryukin waved him off. "No need," the albino said. "Already paid for it." With a small smile, Ichigo left the small cafe. As he walked home, Ichigo stared at the pendant in his hand. Mom's Quincy cross. "Hey everyone." Ichigo called out to his spirits. "Yes, Ichigo?" The spirits replied. "I need something to act as a medium to use my powers, right?" Ichigo asked. "That is correct." "Why?" Yawatch asked. "Well, a Quincy cross is made from soul-synthesized silver, right?" Ichigo questioned. "Yes." Yawatch confirmed. "How is soul-synthesized silver made?" Ichigo asked. "Well, soul-synthesized silver is made by exposing silver to a large amount of pure Reisher and Ryatsu," Yawatch answered. "What if I find 2 katanas and expose them to my Ryatsu? Would doing so turn them into a Sachi?" the teen asked. "Well..." Kyoko wandered off, unsure of the idea. "We could try it," Hogyoko stated. "Not only that, but we could also try to get physical objects, like your body, to your Mindscape. That way we don't need to worry about your physical body lying around. Also, Yawatch, if I turn the Quincy cross to a ring, will it still work?" Ichigo asked. "Work in what way?" Yawatch inquired. "Well, I thought that I could use the Quincy cross like the Green Lantern ring from the movie we saw a while ago," Ichigo suggested. "That is a pretty good idea," Yawatch answered. "Right? It allows me to use the ring as a medium to make whatever I need. A shield to block, a gun for long distance, a train to transport a lot of things." Ichigo listed the various ways he could use his Quincy ring as he arrived back home. "Tadaima!" Ichigo greeted as he walked inside. "Okura nasai, Onie-san!" Yuzu yelled from the kitchen. "Are Karen or Gochin home?" Ichigo asked. "Yes, Ichi-ni?" Karen yelled from the living room. "Yuzu, are you available right now?" Ichigo asked. "Give me a few minutes." "Why?" Yuzu replied. "I have something I want to talk to you and Karen about," Ichigo replied. A few minutes later, the twins sat on one side of the couch while Ichigo sat on the other. "How much do you know about the spiritual world as of right now?" Ichigo asked. "We know a summary of what you did for the past few months with your powers," Karen answered. "Okay. That is good. Now then, I want to tell you something I just found out about Oka-san, Mom," Ichigo said. "What?" Yuzu and Karen asked together. "Well, you know who Yuryu is and what he is, right?" Ichigo asked. "A Quincy," they replied. "Well, it seems Mom was a Quincy," Ichigo told them. "Really?" they replied, astonished at the news. "Yes. Earlier today, I found out that we have an Aji-san from Mom's side named Ishida Ryukin. He is Yurio's father. Mom was his adopted sister at the time. One day, she sensed Gochin and another Hollow fighting, so she left to join the battle. She saw how Gochin was struggling and intervened when the Hollow was about to kill him. The Hollow stopped attacking Gochin and went after her instead. She attempted to shoot it down with her Quincy arrows, but it dodged all of them. Mom concluded that the Hollow was too fast, so she allowed it to bite her hand. With it directly in front of her and with no way to dodge, she shot another Quincy arrow straight at its head, successfully killing it. Ichigo explained, the twins listening with rapt attention. A few days later, Mom started to have a hollow hole form on her chest. Aji-san quickly grabbed her and ran off in search of help. While he was running with Mom in his arms, a hollow appeared and was about to attack when Gochin intervened and killed it. Urahara also showed up and took the three to his shop, where he explained that Mom was going through soul suicide. Luckily, Urahara had invented a way to stop it, but it requires a human and Shinigami soul to balance out the hollow and Quincy soul. With that, Gochin went into the Jigai and stopped Mom from going through soul suicide at the cost of his Shinigami powers. Ichigo finished the tale. Wow! Was all the twins could say after that. Yep. Also, Aji-san asked me to give you this. Ichigo took out the other two white boxes. Ka-san commissioned these two to be made for you too. She was planning to give them to you when she deemed you ready. Ichigo told his sisters before giving them the boxes. They both opened their respective box to see two Quincy crosses. What about you, Ichi-nii? Karen asked once she stopped admiring the craftsmanship of her cross. Aji-san gave me Mom's Quincy cross, Ichigo answered and brought out said object. I am not going to hide these from you, Ichigo told them. Keep them as a memento or ask Yuria to teach you if you want and he has the time. With that said, Ichigo stood up and put his shoes back on. Where you going, Ichi-nii? Karen asked. I want to go see Mom's shrine for a bit. Okay, Ichi-nii. Come back soon. It's almost dinner time. Yuzu reminded him. Sure, Yuzu. Ichigo agreed before leaving the house. On the way to his mother's shrine, some guy pushed Ichigo to the side as he passed him. Hey, stop! Give me back my bag, you asshole! The owner, Ichigo assumed, yelled. Seeing this, Ichigo quickly ran after the thief and punched him in the face. The thief fell to the ground before getting back up and attempting to stab Ichigo with a knife. The Carrot Top caught the knife between his fingers and punched the thief with the other hand. Thinking better, the thief ran away, but Ichigo grabbed the bag and returned it to its owner. Holy shit, man! That was awesome! Thanks! The owner thanked Ichigo for returning his bag. No problem, Ichigo replied. You hungry? I'll treat you to some ramen or something as thanks. How about it? The owner of the bag asked. No thanks. Ichigo waved off the offer before going on his way to his mother's shrine. You're a lot more careful than I thought, Kurosaki Ichigo. The owner of the bag said to himself. From his bag dropped a badge. It was shaped like a pentagon with an X and a skull in the center. Chapter 2, Arc 1, Fullbring. After helping to retrieve a man's black satchel from a thug, Ichigo continued his way to his mom's shrine. 10 minutes later, Ichigo arrived and did a small prayer for her spirit. After that, he began to talk to his mother, Hogyoku, casting Aikido to prevent anyone from hearing what Ichigo was going to say. Hey Mom, it's me. I want to let you know that I learned the truth and Aji-san gave me your Quincy cross. Ichigo proceeded to take out said item. I am keeping it on me to remember you. I also told Yuzu and Karen the truth and hope they stay safe in the spiritual world. Wherever you are, Mom, please watch over us. With that said and done, Ichigo began to walk away from her grave. As he walked back home, Ichigo noticed a sign by a building saying cheap, fast, safe, will do anything. Anajia currently hiring. Seeing this and realizing that he will need something to do during the break, Ichigo decided to see what the job was about. He first texted Yuzu to notify her that he might be late so she wouldn't get too worried. Message sent, Ichigo went to the shop's door and knocked. A few seconds later, he heard a feminine voice. Come in. A woman called out and Ichigo opened the door to see an adult woman sitting at a desk. She was tall, curvaceous, and fair-skinned with brown eyes. Her raven hair, styled in a ponytail with a purple crunchy, reached to her upper back and her bangs were parted to the left of her face. She wore a white t-shirt with long purple sleeves, tight black pants with a buckle belt and black rubber boots. A brown cap and goggles sat on her head and work gloves protected her hands. On her shirt was the shop's logo, so Ichigo assumed that she's either the owner or an employee. Hello? What can I do for you? The woman asked. Hello. My name is Kurosaki Ichigo and I was wondering about the ad outside. Ichigo asked. Ah, I see. I'm Anajia Ikumi and this is my shop. Anajia shop is a place where customers hire us to do a variety of odd jobs. Anajio-san explained. Currently it's just me, so I'm looking for some extra hands. You interested? Maybe. What are the hours like? Ichigo asked. Well, it is mostly appointment-based work. Due to school being out, I can't do much except for taking records and appointments, so I need someone to do all the work. Anajio-san explained. How many people are you willing to hire? Ichigo inquired. A couple of people that would probably not mind working here quickly came to mind. Why? Anajio-san asked, curious. Well, I have 2 younger sisters that could work as the secretaries while you and I take care of the jobs, Ichigo suggested. Sure, that could work. Anajio-san agreed. Alright then. Give me 1 second to call them. Ichigo then pulled out his phone and dialed his home's phone number. A few seconds later, the phones connected. Hello? Ichi-nii? Karen asked. Hey Karen, is Yuzu available? Yes. We both finished dinner already and are about to start cleaning up. Why? Call her over. I'll explain to both of you. Ichigo said, and a few seconds later, Yuzu came and Karen put the phone on speaker. We're both here, Ichi-nii. They said in stereo. Good. Do you want to have a part-time job until school starts? Ichigo asked. It depends. What are we going to do? Karen asked. Well, the place that I'm at right now is called Anajia. Ichigo began. Wait. Is it that one place that does a bunch of jobs for people? Yuzu asked. That's right. How did you know? We did a joint reading program in our class, where we and a younger class paired up and read books together. I was partnered up with a boy named Anajia Kairu. He told me that his mom works there. Yuzu explained. Well, his mom and I are planning to do the jobs that people call in for. You and Karen would work as secretaries and babysit Kairu if necessary. Ichigo told them the plan. You two in? Sure/okay. Yuzu and Karen agreed. Good. I'll talk to Anajio-san about this and give you more information when I get back. Ichigo said. Okay, Ichi-nii. Bye. The twins then hung up and Ichigo put his phone away. Well? Anajio-san asked. Both of them are fine with working with you. One of my sisters met your son. She was his assigned partner for a joint reading program. Ichigo told her. Really? Anajio-san asked with a raised eyebrow. Yep, Ichigo replied. Now, how do we get paid? Well, how we get paid is based on the customer. I have here some price recommendations to start bargaining with. Your sisters will get 7% each while you get 16%. I get 20% and the last 50% goes back to the business. Anajio-san explained. Okay. That is fine by me. Ichigo nodded. I'll come by tomorrow to give you the times that we are available to work. Is that fine? Okay, Anajia-san said. Come here at around 10 a.m. and we'll talk about it. Sure. The two then shook hands and Ichigo left. Once the door closed, Anajia-san jumped up and down in glee. She had needed an assistant for quite some time now and had only put that ad in the morning. Talk about good luck. Evening, Naruki City. A man holding a black satchel could be seen walking towards an apartment building. There, the man pulled out a key and opened the door. Inside the room was a built-in lounge and there was an older gentleman at the bar area. He was a tall, middle-aged man with short dark hair, brown eyes and a thick mustache and wore a shirt and dark waistcoat with a bow tie, reminiscent of a typical bartender's outfit. Welcome back, Ginjo-san. Would you like anything to drink? The seeming bartender asked. Not tonight, Katsuzawa, Ginjo replied. So then, how did it go? Did you find the new substitute? A young man asked from where he was leaning back against a wall, an open book in his hands. I did, Sakishima. His name is Kurosaki Ichigo. Ginjo stated. I see. So, what is the plan, O glorious leader? Sakishima asked sarcastically. I'll tell you the plan once everyone gets here. A few minutes later 5 other people came in and sat around Ginjo. Sakishima proceeded to sit by an empty chair while Katsuzawa stayed in his counter. Here's the plan. I'm going to spend a month doing some recon on the kid. Once I get that done, I'm going to slowly force a barrier between his friends and family. Ginjo began. After that, Sakishima here is going to use his Fullbring to cause the remaining 5 of us to forget the plan and add in a desire to help Ichigo regain his power by training him and make them think Sakishima is the bad guy. Shishigawara is going with Sakishima in case he needs assistance. Ginjo gave a brief look at the thuggish teen that stole his bag. We will train the kid similar to how we train Shishigawara here. Once he completes the training, Sakishima will attack the kid and I'll take the blow. The kid will attack Sakishima in retaliation and I will then go and rip his Fullbring out and absorb the power. Once that is done, we kill the kid. Ginjo finished. Everyone took a moment to absorb the idea. Any questions? No one replied. Good. Then let's get this plan started. 2 months later. 2 months had passed since Ichigo, Yuzu and Karen started working part-time at Anajia. Due to most people thinking that the establishment sells onagi, Yuzu ended up with the task of cooking onagi. When Anajia-san found out that they made more money cooking onagi than doing odd jobs, she laughed and wanted to fully hire Yuzu, but Ichigo quickly shot her down. Most of the jobs were typical, especially lazy ones. Some included looking for lost pets, turning in almost late library books, babysitting kids. Someone even tried to hire Ichigo as a fake boyfriend. There were 2 jobs, however, that Ichigo had partaken in that could be considered the highlights of the 2 months. One job was when Ichigo had to help a man named Tadatoshi Gasan. While helping him pack all of his belongings, Ichigo stumbled upon 2 katanas. On closer inspection, he realized that the black katana was not a katana but a dado, Japanese long sword. Instead of the normal silver blade, it had a black blade and the crossguard had 4 prongs bent out to form the shape of the manji. For a second, Ichigo had thought that he had been holding his false bankai. So, I see that you stumbled on one of my last few katanas, Tadatoshi stated as he came behind the teen. Ichigo turned around and tried to explain, but Tadatoshi cut him off. Kokogetsu is quite the beauty. Wouldn't you say so? Tadatoshi asked rhetorically while looking at the black dado in Ichigo's hands. Kokugatsu. Ichigo repeated, pulling the dado from the sheath. He noticed an indent on the blade and, on closer inspection, he saw the kanji for Kokugetsu imprinted on the blade. Yes. Seeing you hold this blade, though, I can tell that you have used something similar to it before. Am I right? Tadatoshi asked. Yes. I have. Ichigo said. I see. Take it, then. Tadatoshi told him. Are you sure? It must have cost you a fortune. Ichigo asked, surprised at Tadatoshi's offer. I insist. And take a look at the other one. It wouldn't do to make Suki no Hansha jealous, much less separate it from its friend. Tadatoshi said. Ichigo properly sheathed Kokugetsu and grabbed the other katana. Pulling the katana from the sheath, it looked like a generic katana. On closer inspection, though, Ichigo noted that the tsuba was specially detailed. It was shaped like a lotus and the handguard was green and purple. Ichigo then found another indent on the blade. Like with Kokugetsu, it was the kanji for the sword's name. So, Suki no Hansha, Ichigo murmured as he held the katana on his left hand. And Kokugetsu, he then picked up the dado with his right hand. After taking a moment to appreciate his new gifts, Ichigo helped Tadatoshi finish packing and moving everything into the truck. Thank you for Kokugetsu and Suki no Hansha, Tadatoshi-san. Ichigo thanked the man as he bowed in respect. No problem, Kurosaki. Make sure to take good care of them, Tadatoshi said before getting in the driver's seat and driving out of Karakura town. The other memorable job was at a jewelry store. The owner of the store had a customer coming to pick up a custom-made jewelry and would have waited for the customer to come if an emergency hadn't come up. He called Anajia to ask for someone to come immediately. Yuzu, who had taken the call, and Anajia-san then started to argue about who should get the job, so Ichigo sighed and quietly took the contact info before running towards the jewelry store. Ichigo quickly arrived at the jewelry store and, while at first, the owner thought that he was some delinquent trying to rob him, Ichigo quickly introduced himself. The owner recognized the name and apologized before telling Ichigo to watch the store while he went to take care of an emergency. When the customer comes, she will ask you what is good and evil. You just have to answer with power and she'll know that you're trustworthy, the owner told Ichigo. Okay, it seems a bit much for just picking up some custom jewelry, Ichigo commented. The owner just gave him a shrug. She likes her theatrics. Oh, here, he then gave Ichigo a notebook. If any other clients wish to talk to me, write down their name, phone number, and email. Sure. With that, the owner left and Ichigo brought out A Midsummer Night's Dream to read. 20 minutes later, 3 thugs came charging in with pistols. Nobody move. This is a robbery. Thug A shouted, waving his gun around. Thug B then pointed his gun at Ichigo. Hey, cashier. Unlock everything and give us the money, he demanded. Instead of doing that, Ichigo threw the book he had been reading at Thug B. The man was caught off guard and Ichigo used the distraction to leap over the counter and knocked him out. Thug A and C saw this and opened fire, but Ichigo dodged the bullets before throwing the unconscious Thug B at the two. They jumped back to avoid Thug B but lost sight of Ichigo for a moment. The team took advantage of that and kicked Thug C so hard that his body flew out of the front door. Thug A then tried to escape, but Ichigo was faster and knocked him out too. With the 3 thugs taken down, Ichigo picked up the phone and called the police to pick them up. While waiting for the officers, Ichigo went to the back of the store and found some rope. He tied the 3 thugs together and kept them in the store so they couldn't try to escape. That done, Ichigo found his book and resumed reading. 10 minutes later, the police arrived and took the 3 thugs away, Ichigo providing the owner's contact information. Once that was done, Ichigo went back to his reading. 30 minutes later, a woman wearing an overcoat and a hat that covered her face entered the store. Are you the one? She asked Ichigo. Am I? Ichigo asked back. She brought her bag up and passed a package to Ichigo. Here, she said. Just as you ordered. With that, she turned her back to Ichigo and he struck her in the neck, knocking her unconscious. The team then called the police again to report suspicious activity. Once again a couple of officers came to the store and took off the overcoat and hat of the woman. The woman in question was revealed to be a famous actress. The police officers gently shook her awake. Ichigo explained to her that he called the police due to her acting suspicions. She told Ichigo that the owner hadn't updated her on the secret password. Puzzled about this, Ichigo called the owner. Hello? The owner answered the call. Yes. This is Ichigo, the man currently managing your store. Ichigo said. I remember you. Do you need anything? Well, a suspicious lady came in, so I knocked her out and I called the police. Can you verify that the woman in question is, in fact, the client? Ichigo asked. Please hand the phone to her. The owner requested and Ichigo handed the phone to the actress. The two spent a few seconds talking before she blushed and handed the phone back to Ichigo. Sorry about that. Ichigo apologized. No problem. But why did you call the police? She asked. Well, you acted like you were doing something very shady and not 20 minutes ago, someone did try to rob this place, Ichigo explained. I see. The actress began. Well, judging by the fact that you were swiftly able to protect the store, you must have some skills in self-defense. Here is my number if you're interested in a bodyguard job. she said as she handed Ichigo her a card. Looking at it, Ichigo noted the name Matsuoka Yuki imprinted on the card, too. Pocketing the card, Ichigo handed her the package. Yuki then put her overcoat and hat on and left the store. The owner eventually came back and was furious at the mess in his store. Ichigo told the man what happened and to look at the recording if he couldn't trust his words. The owner did that and apologized after confirming that Ichigo had indeed protected his store. The owner then asked if he could do anything to repay for the trouble. Ichigo took out his mother's Quincy cross and asked him if he could turn this pendant to a ring by melting the chain. The owner looked at the Quincy cross and agreed to do as Ichigo requested. He measured Ichigo's ring finger and went to work, telling Ichigo it would take a few hours to finish. While waiting, Ichigo cleaned up the store and manned the front counter while the owner worked in the back. A few hours later, the owner came out and presented the finished ring to Ichigo. The Carrot Top looked at the Quincy ring and was glad that it ended looking exactly how he thought it would. Yawatch also confirmed that nothing extra was added in the ring. With that done, Anajia received the agreed payment and Ichigo received a tip for his troubles. A week before school started, all three of the Kurosaki siblings told Anajia-san that they were quitting due to school. Anajia-san begged them to stay and work part-time, but Ichigo declined because he was in a sports club. Karen also declined due to her duties to the soccer club and Yuzu declined because she was in the cooking club. Anajia-san admitted defeat and asked if they are willing to stay for a small party. They all attend and had a small party at the store, Anajia-san even allowing her son Kaoru to participate. In these past 2 months, Kaoru grew up a little. At first, he was very distrustful of Ichigo, but Yuzu and Karen took care of that. Ichigo also understood Kaoru's actions towards him were due to the desire to protect his mother, so he took Kaoru outside and told him that he had no intention of seeking a relationship with his mother. After the party, the three Kurosaki returned home and prepared for the school year to start. 1 week later. Tatsuki. Kugo. Let the first one in. Ichigo yelled to his friends guarding the door. He was currently sitting down on a chair inside an empty classroom, a long line of students outside waiting to be let in. The door opened and in came Hisaya Miki, 3, the current karate club captain. He's a short young man with black hair and dark eyes and currently wearing the school's male uniform. Hello, Kurosaki-senpai. The karate club is willing to continue the old agreement from last year. Hisaya said. Denied. New offers for everyone. Ichigo replied. 3,000 yen for each tournament. Hisaya offered. 8,000 yen. Ichigo countered. 5,000 yen. 7,000 yen. 6,000 yen. 7,000 yen. Final. Ichigo stated. Fine. Hisaya acquiesced and filled out the contract. With that done, he left. Next. Ichigo yelled. This continued for the next 45 minutes. Archery, boxing, track and field, kendo, tennis, karate, and swimming all averaged around 7,000 yen. While soccer, baseball, and basketball were all about 6,000 yen and an additional 1,500 yen for practice. Tatsuki. Kugo. Anyone else? Ichigo asked. There is one more Ichigo, Tatsuki said and opened the door. A girl with brown hair with red clips on the left of her bangs and dark-colored eyes let herself in. My name is Suzuki Mai, 1. I am a member of the nursing club. Suzuki introduced herself. Nursing club? Why are you here? Ichigo asked in confusion. Well, the nursing club would like to hire Kurosaki-senpai to teach us some things in the medical field. Suzuki asked. Why don't you try the school nurse? Ichigo questioned. Well, the school nurse doesn't want to spend any more of her time here than needed, Suzuki stated. Have you talked to Karakura General Hospital if they do internships? Ichigo suggested. Karakura General does offer internships. However, we've received no replies. Suzuki said sadly. All right then. Give me the names of your members and I'll see what I can do regarding internships at Karakura General. Ichigo said. Really? Suzuki said. Yeah. Just write your club members' names on this sheet along with your president and vice president's contact information, Ichigo assured as he took out a notebook for her to write the information on. Thank you very much. Suzuki thanked him before running out of the classroom. Outside were a few other members of the nursing club and she quickly explained the situation to them. They quickly filled out the paper, Suzuki returning it to Ichigo, and then ran out happy at development. Ichigo then picked up his stuff and decided to head to Karakura General right away to see Aji-san and talk to him about this internship problem. As he starts packing up, his phone begins to ring. Hello? Ichigo said after answering his phone. Ichigo. It's Anajia-san. Could you come over to the store? I got a customer who was asking for you. Anajia-san asked. Fine. The teen sighed. Could you swing by the high school to pick me up? Why? Anajia-san asked. She knew that Karakura High was not that far from Anajia. Some thugs just showed up at the front gate. I'm going to deal with them, Ichigo said. Okay. I'll be there in 7 minutes. Anajio-san promised and hung up. Pocketing his phone, Ichigo looked at the thugs that walked on campus. There's someone named Kurosaki at this school, right? Thug leader yelled. Get your ass out here. Ichigo sighed in annoyance as he made his way to the school building's entrance. You sent 3 of my guys to prison. He continued. To prison. Usually, you deal with us on the streets, not with the cops. The thug then chuckled. I hear you out there somewhere, Kurosaki. You're probably all freaked out about how we found your name. How naive. We got a damn good look at your face. So there were tons of ways to find out who you were. Anyways, Kurosaki. We're from Miyako and we're gonna block this gate until you get your ass out here. Once at the school entrance, Ichigo quickly ran out and knocked Thug E and F out with a punch and kick respectively, shocking the thugs. Who the hell are you? Thug leader asked. It's him, Obuta-san. Thug D shouted. Him? Thug leader asked Thug D, who nodded in confirmation. Thug leader quickly turned his attention back to Ichigo. So, you're Kurosaki? Thug leader yelled in what he thought was a threatening manner. Not intimidated in the slightest, Ichigo punched the thug leader in the mouth, knocking out a bunch of teeth. The remaining thugs immediately charged the Carrot Top teen at the same time, but Ichigo quickly knocked them all out easily. A few minutes later, the police arrived and swiftly took the thugs to the police. Seconds after they left, Tatsuki came out. Ichigo, are you alright? She asked in slight worry. She knew that Ichigo could defend himself against normal thugs easily, but she still worried about him. Yeah, nothing to worry about, Ichigo assured Tatsuki as a white van then stopped at the gate. Sorry, Tatsuki. Gotta go. Ichigo said and ran out, jumping into the van. During the ride, Anajia-san told Ichigo that a man came to the shop looking for him and paid her to get him after school to meet him there. Once at the shop, Ichigo got out of the van, walked in and went upstairs to sit on the couch. He said he'd be here in 20 minutes. That 10 minutes ago, so he should be arriving soon. Anajio-san said. 10 minutes later, the door opened and a man with something covered in his left hand walked in. Ichigo looked at him and had the feeling that he had seen the man before. The man pulled the cover in his left hand to reveal a ramen bowl. How about some ramen? The man asked. No, thanks, Ichigo replied. The man shrugged, sat down and began to eat his ramen. Ichigo tried to get him to start talking but he just kept eating. It took Ichigo slamming his hand on the table to make him stop and start talking. What do you want with me? Ichigo asked. You paid Anajia-san to get me here for some reason, even though I am no longer an employee of hers. I didn't come here to argue with you or waste your time, so I'll get to the point, he said. Is that chick the boss? He asked. Chick? Yes, I am. Ikumi said while blushing. Mind if I tell you about my job? The man asked as he took a photo from his pocket. I'd like you to do a personal investigation of someone, he said as he placed the photo down. His name is Dash. Kurosaki Ishin. Ichigo interrupted. What? He said in surprise. You know him? The man asked and Ichigo stared at him. Are you trying to mess with me? Ichigo asked. Kurosaki Ishin is my dad. If there's something you want to know about him, then just ask me. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Ichigo yelled. He's your dad? Now that's a coincidence. He said. What? You'll tell me whatever I want to know? He asked. Do you know enough to be able to answer my questions? The man said. You probably still don't even know a damn thing about your own family. He said. What the hell do you mean? Ichigo questioned. Exactly what I said. I don't think I said anything hard to follow. The man said. I asked you just how much you know about your own family. He said before Anajia-san slammed her hand over the picture. All right. I'll hold on to the picture for now. She stated. We're closing up the shop for the day. Time for you to go. Ikumi ordered. Hey now, that's pretty sudden. Can I assume you'll take the job, then? The man questioned Ikumi. I'll contact you about that after I've thought it over. Anajia-san answered. I see. In that case, I'll leave my contact information. The man then stood up and right before he left, he told Ichigo one more thing. Kurosaki, try heading over to Urahara's shop. You should be able to see something interesting. The man said and left the store. Sorry, Ichigo started to say before Anajio-san interrupted him. Whatever is going on, it revolves around that store he mentioned. Hurry up and go. Anajio-san said. Thanks, Ichigo said and ran towards Urahara's shop. 10 minutes later, Ichigo barely arrived to see Karen walking out of Urahara's and running back towards home. Karen. So you are starting to awaken your powers. Ichigo thought. Concerned? That's understandable. After all, your little sister keeps visiting a shady character. The man from earlier said. He's not a shady character. Urahara-san Ichigo started to say before he was interrupted again. Rescued us? The man finished Ichigo's sentence. Just how much have you learned to make you feel like you have this Urahara guy figured out? He countered. I'm warning you. Act while you still can if you want to protect your family. The man said. Give me a name. Ichigo said. Your name. Ginjo Kugo. Ginjo introduced himself. Don't get the wrong idea. This doesn't mean that I trust you yet. Ichigo told him. Of course not. But here, I'll give you this. Ginjo then handed Ichigo a black card. With that done, the two went their separate ways. Ichigo decided to go back home to think about what is going on since it is already getting late. Sometime later, at the Kurosaki residence. Once back home, Ichigo went to his room and took out the black card Ginjo gave him. It looked like a normal credit card, but it had the words, Welcome to our Excursion in white font. Ichigo's phone then rang. Hello? Ichigo answered. Kurosaki-kun. Orihime cried on the other side of the line. Inoue? What is it? Ichigo asked. Ishida-kun is in the hospital. She told him. What? Ichigo yelled in shock. I'm on my way. With that said, Ichigo hung up and, remembering the favor for Suzuki, grabbed his notebook. He quickly wrote a note and left it on his desk before running out towards the hospital. Minutes later, at Karakura General Hospital. Ishida! Ichigo yelled once he arrived in the correct room. Kurosaki-kun. Orihime said in surprise. Inoue? You're here already? Ichigo questioned. What about Chad? I think he's still at work, given the time. Orihime said. You even called Kurosaki? Honestly, you're always taking things too far. Urahara stated. Ishida. Ichigo said. Taking things too far? At least your mouth is fully functional, that never changes. Ryukin stated. What do you plan to do if my wounds worsen because you keep letting people barge in here? Urahara asked. Are you stupid? Ryukin countered. Who do you think performed the surgery? Ryukin questioned. As if something minor like this would aggravate your injuries. Novices who get slashed by their enemy and nearly die shouldn't be telling their doctor to do this or don't do that. Ryukin said, ending the argument between father and son. Slashed? What's he talking about, Ishida? Ichigo asked, but Urahara didn't reply. Ishida. It's important to share information. Do you intend to waste the kindness I've shown you? Ryukin asked. You shut the hell up. Urahara yelled at his father, causing his wound to flare up and him to wince. Kurosaki-kun. Urahara said, noticing Ichigo's state. Hey. It must be hard for you to be out so late. I'll walk you home. Ichigo said. What? I mean. Really? Urahara asked in surprise. I'll take her home in my car. You should hurry home yourself. I think your father would raise hell if I were to let you run around all night. Ryukin told Ichigo. All right. Thank you. Ichigo said and gave a quick bow. Wait. Before I go, Ryukin-san, I have something that I want to talk to you about. Privately. Sure. Let's talk somewhere else. Urahara-san, please stay here with Urahara until I am done. Ryukin asked. Sure, Urahara replied as Ichigo and Ryukin walked out to an empty room near Urahara's room. What is it, Ichigo? Ryukin asked. Well, some students at the nursing club wanted me to teach them some medical things due to Dad running an emergency clinic. I suggested that they file an internship request here and they have. But, according to them, none have received any response yet. So, I decided to ask you if they can intern here or have some doctors or nurses come by to teach them. Ichigo told him. I didn't hear anything about internship requests, but I can see what can be done. Do you have their names and contact information? Ryukin asked. Yes, right here. Ichigo quickly gave him his notebook and Ryukin took a picture of the contact information. I'll ask my secretary if she knows about this. If not, I will call the students personally to see what they want. Ryukin assured his nephew. Thank you. Ichigo thanked him before leaving the room and starting his way back home. Ichigo. Go back home. We have much to discuss. Yawatch told his host. Kingi, I know you want to go and hunt down the bastard who attacked your friend, but you need to calm down, Zangetsu said. I agree with them, Ichigo. Go back home and we'll think rationally about this. Kyoka suggested. All right then. Ichigo acquiesced and went back home. Later, back at the Kurosaki residence. Ichigo eventually arrived back home again and saw Yuzu and Karen still up and waiting for him. Ichi-nii. Yuzu said tiredly. Yuzu, Karen. Why are you still up? Ichigo asked in concern. We saw you running out, but you went out too fast for us to ask what happened, so we went to your room. We saw the note and decided to wait for you in case you wanted to talk about it. Karen answered. Urahara was attacked and is currently at the hospital, Ichigo told them. Really? Is he okay? Yuzu asked, worried for their cousin. Yes, but he's fine now, Ichigo assured her. Okay. That's good to hear. Karen said. Well, I'll be going to bed then. Good night, Yuzu. Good night, Ichi-nii. With that, she walked up the stairs to her room. Good night, Karen. I let dinner's leftovers for you, Ichi-nii, in case you're hungry. Yuzu yawned. Good night. Good night, Yuzu. Ichigo wished as Yuzu walked up the stairs. He then quickly finished his dinner and walked up the stairs to his room. He then changed to his sleepwear attire and went to his Mindscape. Inside Ichigo's Mindscape. "Hello, Ichigo," Yawatch said. "Hello, everyone. What's this about?" Ichigo asked. "Well, I recognize who Ginjo really is," Kyoka revealed. "Really? Who is he?" Ichigo questioned, eager to know more about the mysterious man. "Ginjo is one of the first substitute Shinigami," Kyoka said. "Really?" Ichigo asked in surprise. "Yes. When Aizen was only a lieutenant, Ginjo was a human who was given Shinigami powers similar to how Rukia gave her power to you. However, Ginjo did not have Ryatsu of his own. Aizen observed Ginjo after he was given the substitute Shinigami badge and, at some point, Ginjo discovered the real function to the substitute Shinigami badge and went missing. Aizen somehow found Ginjo went into hiding in Naruki City, no longer having enough Ryatsu to have Shinigami powers, but enough to see Shinigami in hollows. He attacked various Shinigami in an attempt to steal their Ryatsu, and soon enough Ginjo discovered a new ability. The ability to manipulate the souls of physical objects. With this new skill, he was able to create a method to steal Shinigami's powers. When you touched him, I was able to detect a different type of Ryatsu coming from him. Kyoka explained. Interesting. What type of Ryatsu did you feel, though? Ichigo said, taking in everything Aizen's former partner told him. His Ryatsu felt similar to a Vizard's or an Arrancar's. Strangely enough, it is similar to Yasutora Sato's Ryatsu. Kyoka commented. So, Ginjo has some set of powers and wants me to learn this Fullbring technique. He'll likely tell me to focus on my badge to draw out the little Ryatsu in it, which would eventually develop into my own Fullbring. Once that is done, he'll probably try and steal that power. Ichigo theorized. That is a possible plan of his. Yawatch agreed. One of the few times you use your brain, Kingi. Zangetsu taunted. Also, whoever attacked Yuryu also has the same type of Ryatsu as Ginjo, Hogyoku added. Well, that sucks, Ichigo said. Wait, if we can use this method on the katanas and then mix their souls with Zangetsu's and Kyoka Suigetsu's Ryatsu, would that make them Asachis? Ichigo asked. I don't know, Kyoka stated as she thought about it. It is possible. Hogyoku said. I might be able to influence the transformation to make it possible. Okay. So what's the plan? Ichigo inquired. Charge in and kill everyone. Zangetsu suggested with a wicked and bloodthirsty smile. Kill them, yes. Charging in, no. Kyoka objected. Well, what about this, Ichigo said, getting their attention. What if we call them and make them think I am desperate for answers and ask for their help, Ichigo suggested. So, Trojan horse it? Yawatch asked for confirmation. Exactly. Once I'm in, I let Kyoka out to gather information at their base while they train me. I am also letting Hogyoku out to see if she can find out who attacked Yuryu. Ichigo told them his plan. It's a risky idea. Yawatch commented. Indeed. We'll be going into unknown territory with no allies. Kyoka agreed. Ichigo does have excellent acting skills, though, Hogyoku commented. One of their extra classes was acting, though Ichigo would prefer not to mention the horrors he had to go through during those lessons. Who cares? No battle plan survives contact with the enemy. Zangetsu quoted. Wait. Did Zangetsu just quote something in history? Ichigo yelled in faux shock. Everyone else gasped at the realization. Hey! Zangetsu yelled. I do read as well. He pouted. Everyone laughed at his antics and he eventually joined in too. With the planning done, Ichigo left his Mindscape. Outside Ichigo's Mindscape. Back outside, Ichigo sat up on his bed and checked his watch. Seeing that it was only 9:14 p.m., Ichigo got out of bed and went towards his bag near the closet and tried to find the card that Ginjo gave him. He remembered that, when Urahara called him, he threw the card back in his bag before he ran to the hospital. Finding the card, Ichigo flipped it around to look at the back. Concierge desk telephone 0120 was inscribed onto the back of the card, so Ichigo pulled out his phone and dialed the number. A few rings later, a voice answered the phone. Hello. You have reached Incursion. This number is not registered. Are you a new member? Please state your name. The anonymous person spoke. Kurosaki, Ichigo, he replied. Kurosaki Ichigo-sama. We are already aware of you. Welcome to Incursion. Now then, Kurosaki-sama, please hang up the phone. The anonymous person instructed. Huh? Ichigo questioned. After you hang up, please dial this number again followed by the number 00800. Then hang up before the call starts. After that, place another call to the same number and hang up as soon as the phone finishes ringing. On the third call, you will be connected directly to Ginjo Kogo-sama. The anonymous person instructed. Ichigo did as instructed and, soon enough he heard a different person pick up from the other side. That was a real pain in the ass. Ichigo started. Oh, put a sock in it. It'd be a pain in the ass for me if I didn't do that. Ginjo said. Well, there's something I want to talk to you about, Ichigo said. I'm sure there is, otherwise you wouldn't be calling me, right? Ginjo rhetorically questioned. The two of them spent the next few minutes arranging a time to meet for tomorrow. Once that was done, Ichigo hung up. Phase 1 done. Ichigo thought to himself. Meanwhile, in Naruki City, Ginjo sat down in his chair drinking his whiskey. Phase 1 done. He said to the rest of the Fullbringers at the hideout. Next morning. Ichigo woke up early and did his morning rituals. Ichigo, nothing is planned for today except for the meeting with Ginjo, Hogyoku told him, having ended up becoming his little mental secretary. Thanks, Hogyoku. Ichigo mentally thanked her before leaving for school. Not much happened today for Ichigo. One of the highlights of the day was when Suzuki Mai came over and thanked him. According to her, Aji-san's secretary hid the nursing club's application for an internship so her own daughter's school received the internships instead. The other highlight of the day was Urahara voicing her concern about Chad not showing up for school. Eventually, 7:00 p.m. came up and Ichigo went off to find the location that Ginjo told him during the phone call. Derelict apartment building in District 771 of Chowbara in Naruki City. Hogyoku reminded him and Ichigo spent the next 55 minutes finding the place. At 7:55, Ichigo finally arrived at the correct building. 3 minutes early, huh? How professional, Ginjo commented. It's not for 3 minutes. It's for 5 minutes. Ichigo countered. Details. So, what did you want to talk to me about? Ginjo questioned. A buddy of mine got his ass kicked. Ichigo started. And? Ginjo questioned. I want you to give me a hand, Ichigo said. Searching for the culprit? I thought you didn't trust me? Ginjo questioned. I don't. But, you know about me and my dad, so you're probably not a normal human. Ichigo said. Maybe. Maybe not, Ginjo said. It's not that I trust you. But Ichigo said. Don't have anyone else to turn to? Ginjo finished. All right. Follow me. Ginjo instructed. The two walked into the apartment building and then inside an elevator. Ginjo then pressed the number 3 and the doors shut. Slowly, the elevator started moving up. Truthfully, I'd like to ask you to put this off until after you've taken care of my request, though, Ginjo said. You mean that thing with my dad? Ichigo questioned. I haven't seen him since then. But I'm sure I can look into, Ichigo admitted. It was a joke. Ginjo interrupted again. You don't have to look into it. That was just a ruse to pique your curiosity. A ruse? Ichigo said. We're here, Ginjo announced instead of explaining. The elevator doors opened and Ginjo led Ichigo to a door with a card slider on the left and 27 buttons on the right. Ginjo quickly pressed the buttons for the password on the keypad. Once he finished, he turned to Ichigo. "Swipe your card here," Ginjo instructed, and Ichigo did so. The door opened and inside Ichigo saw there was a very decorative bar with one person cleaning the bar counter, another person sitting on a table and a woman sitting on the couch. "Why is it so big in here?" Ichigo questioned. "We knocked down the walls of 5 apartments and took the floors of 3, Ginjo said. Before Ichigo could ask how they could afford to do that, Ginjo answered him. "We have some members with money." He then turned to Ichigo. "So, before we get down to business, I'm going to tell you our objective." "Your objective?" Ichigo asked. "Yeah, our reason for getting close to you," Ginjo said. "Our objective is to get your Shinigami powers back." "Huh?" Ichigo said in confusion. "What? It's not like you didn't hear me, right?" Ginjo said. "I said that we want you to reclaim your Shinigami powers." How are you gonna do that?" Ichigo yelled. "Why would you do something like that for me? Just what the hell are you after?" Ichigo yelled and grabbed Jinjo's jacket. "Who the hell are you guys?" Ginjo grabbed Ichigo's wrist. "Calm down," Ginjo told him and pulled Ichigo's hand from his jacket. "There's no way I can answer all of that at once, but first have a seat. The night is still young, so I'm gonna give you the story nice and slow," Ginjo said. For the next few minutes, Ginjo explained their special ability to Ichigo. While Ginjo spoke, however, Hogyoku was telling him something more important. "Ichigo, I managed to trace the person who attacked Yurio," Hogyoku said. "They are in this very building, in one of the other rooms that they modified. It appears to be a trick room. The wall facing you looks like a real wall, but in his perspective, it is clear. He can see you," Hogyoku reported. "I see," Ichigo thought. "Ichigo. There appear to be 2 more people walking towards us," Kyoka said. "Okay, change of plans. I'm going to use Kyoka's Bankai to see what is going to happen. If they do betray me as you said, then I'm going to kill them and steal their powers," Ichigo told his spirits. "You sure of this, Ichigo?" Yawatch asked. "I am. If I leave them alone, they may attack the others. Also, Soul Society does not know where they are as well, and we have a Kido on the badge altering what they hear. They believe I am in my rune reading or something," Ichigo said. "Okay then," Ichigo Yawatch acquiesced. With that done, Ichigo refocused his attention back to listening to Ginjo finishing his explanation of their powers. "We call this ability Fullbring," Ginjo said. Suddenly the door began to shake and then slammed open. A young, slender girl with magenta eyes and long hair of matching color came in. Her hair was styled into 2 pigtails, and between which she wore a light-colored hat that had 2 extensions in the back, made to look like rabbit's ears. A strand of hair hanging down the right side of her face, and she had a fringe over her forehead. She wore a dark dress with white fabric over her breasts with a dark ribbon just above it and a pair of thigh-length boots. "I'm back!" the girl yelled in greeting. "Riruka," Ginjo said. "You're back sooner than I thought you'd be. Did you find him?" Ginjo questioned. "Yeah, I found him," Riruka yelled back. "Hey, that shiny thing is a sword, right? Why'd you bring that out, are you stupid?" Riruka yelled. "And it's dark. Increase the light, now." "I can't see anything," she complained. "I don't plan on increasing the light. Put your glasses on," Ginjo calmly said. "I hate wearing glasses, but I hate wearing contacts more. I've got big eyes, so contacts dry them out fast." Riruka continued complaining. "I'm not listening," Ginjo said. "Who's that?" Ichigo questioned. "Dokugamine Riruka. She's one of us," Ginjo explained. "What? Who's that over there?" Riruka yelled, trying to force her eyes to focus on Ichigo. "I'll introduce you later." "Now bring him in," Ginjo ordered. "The hell, acting like you're the boss," Riruka complained again. She then turned around towards the door and said, "Hey! Get in here." "Okay." The person outside said and walked in. Ichigo could only stare at who walked in. "What?" Ichigo said in shock. "Chad." "Ichigo." Chad said. "Fuck. This shit hit the fan fast." Ichigo thought as he looked at his old ally. "What the hell are you doing here?" Ichigo questioned Chad. "You haven't been going to school, so why are y-" Ichigo was then interrupted by Ginjo. "Calm down, Ichigo," Ginjo ordered. "Like hell, I could be calm about this." Ichigo yelled. "Tell me what's going on, Ginjo," Ichigo demanded. "Depending on your answer." Ginjo interrupted Ichigo once again. "Calm down," Ginjo ordered. "Don't make me say it a third time," Ginjo said. "You'll understand when you finish hearing what I have to say. Now, sit down," Ginjo ordered. "You too, Chad," he added. Ichigo and Chad sat down and ignored Riruka's complaining. Once both were sitting in front of him, Ginjo started to explain how they got their ability. While he did that, Ichigo was having an internal discussion on what to do next. "What are we going to do?" Ichigo asked to his spirits. "We can still use that," Kyoka suggested. "True. Is everyone in the building in range, though?" Ichigo questioned. "No. The two in the special room are too far away," Kyoka answered. "So I need to use the modified Geki on all 8 of them and bring them over here. Once everyone is in range, I will use that on them to see what is going on." Ichigo explained the new plan. With that agreed upon, Ichigo decided to wait for the right moment and resumed listening to what Ginjo was talking about. "Powers of both Shinigami and human, then we can pass our power on to them," Ginjo said. "Then that means?" Ichigo questioned, trying to make it look like he had been paying attention the whole time. "Some time ago, there was someone other than you who was born of a Shinigami and a human. By surrendering their powers to that person, a few of our kind were able to return to being human," Ginjo said. "Do you get it now? In order for us to go back to being human, you need to get your Shinigami powers back." He restated the key idea. He gave Ichigo a few moments to digest the new information before continuing. "You'll get your Shinigami powers back and our powers will be tacked onto them. If it's the power to fight that you want, then I don't think it's such a bad deal." "All right. I'm in," Ichigo said after some time thinking. "I guess that settles it, then," Ginjo said. "We better get to war dash." "But I have one question." Ichigo interrupted him. "Shoot," Ginjo said with a frown at being interrupted. "Is that your real plan?" Ichigo asked with a frown of his own. "What?" Ginjo spoke in surprise. Suddenly, all 8 members of Incursion were glowing red and paralyzed. Ichigo then walked to the secret room and opened the door before dragging the 2 other members out of the room. He dragged them to the table where everyone was and then willed a katana into existence. The katana appeared to be a standard one, the only 2 differences being its hexagon-shaped tsuba and green handle. "Scatter," Ichigo said, and Chad quickly realized what Ichigo held, thought couldn't comprehend what is going to happen to them. "Kyoka Suigetsu," Ichigo finished. And everyone heard glass shattering. "Bankai, Genjitsu Kakamasu, right reality." With that said, a wave of black Ryatsu flooded all over them. Once the black Ryatsu disappeared, everyone except Ichigo had a dazed look on their faces. With that, Ichigo sat cross-legged as he remembered what Kyoka told him about her Bankai. "Congratulations, Ichigo. You finally achieved my Bankai," Kyoka stated with a big smile. "Thank you. But, what does it do?" Ichigo questioned. "Well, my Bankai is special. It allows the user to create any reality and lock the target inside until they figure out the way to escape or you allow them to escape," Kyoka explained. "How would they escape?" Ichigo asked. "Well, they would need to do something that is absolutely against their nature," Kyoka began. If you were under my bankai, you would have to kill your family and friends. Murder the people you swore to protect. I see. Any restriction on reality? Ichigo asked. Nope, Kyoka replied. It could be a reality similar to the real one or something abstract, but it must have the object that is against the victim's nature involved. How did Aizen not use this on everyone? He would have one. Ichigo asked. Aizen had been dangerous enough with only Kyoka's Shurkai. If he had used her bankai, he would have won far faster. He would have if he had it, Kyoka said. What? Aizen didn't have bankai. No. He used my Shurkai to fake a bankai. He felt that it was not needed. After that I never allowed him to try for bankai. Kyoka explained. Ha! That was quite arrogant of him. In hindsight, I'm happy that he had an ego that big. Anything important that I should know about your bankai, though? Ichigo asked. Yes. The victim of my bankai cannot be a victim of my Kanzen-simon. She said. Really? Ichigo replied. Yes. When releasing me, my Kanzen-simon does not activate unless you wish it. 2. Kyoka said. Okay. Thank you. Let's start training to use your bankai then, Kyoka. Ichigo said. Sure. With that, the two went to try to find victim volunteers to help Ichigo train. Ichigo had used Kyoka Suigetsu's bankai to create a reality where the Skyushin members went through what they would have put Ichigo through. Chapter 443 page 21 to chap 459 page 11, except Rukia doesn't stab him. Ginjo and all 6 others were happy that they accomplished their mission, and Ichigo could see that Chad was attacked by Tsukishima's Fullbring, which alters the memory of the one he cuts. Having seen the true self of the Skyushin members in action, Ichigo decided to end the false reality. Shuryo, end, Ichigo called out, deactivating Kyoka's bankai, and everyone under its effects woke up, confused. Ichigo quickly walked towards Chad and hit him on the neck, knocking him out. Sorry, old friend. I'll fix this for you. Ichigo told Chad before lifting him towards the couch and laid him down. He then turned his attention to the confused and quickly getting scared Fullbringers. Since all of you wanted to give me your powers, I'll kindly take them and add them to my own, Ichigo stated, and fear struck all the remaining Fullbringers as he manifested one of his Zangetsus. Everyone got to see that the blade looked like a kyber knife with the grip at the base of the blade and a handle extending back from this about roughly the width and length of Ichigo's forearm. There was also a thin, hollowed-out portion running along the back edge of the blade from the base to the middle of the blade. Gripping his sword, Ichigo stabbed Ginjo in the chest and absorbed all of his powers, shocking everyone. More power, but no new abilities, Ichigo commented, grabbing Ginjo's cross and throwing it at a nearby table. Ichigo then faced Tsukishima and stabbed him with Kyoka Suigetsu. Kyoka Suigetsu would be able to use his Fullbring to its maximum potential. Thank you, Ichigo. His Fullbring is interesting. It also allows you to see the victim's memory as well. Kyoka added. No problem. And that's good to know, Ichigo replied. Finding the book Tsukishima had been currently reading, he pulled out the bookmark and threw it at the same table where Ginjo's cross laid. Turning towards Katsuzawa, Ichigo stabbed him with Zangetsu and absorbed his powers too. Interesting power, but I don't see any uses for it, Ichigo commented before looking inside the man's pocket to find the pocket watch. Ichigo threw it at the table and turned towards Yukio Han's Voralburna. Your powers are something amazing, Ichigo told him honestly before stabbing Voralburna with Kyoka and absorbed said powers. Ichigo then founded the game console and placed it on the table. Turning his attention to Mo Shishigawara, Ichigo stabbed him with Zangetsu and once again absorbed a Fullbring. Interesting power, Ichigo said before pulling out Shishigawara's brass knuckle and throwing it at the table. With a sigh, Ichigo turned towards Riroka. Your powers, if modified, would also be something amazing, Ichigo told her before stabbing her with Kyoka and taking her powers. Finally, Ichigo turns towards Jackie. You're the last one. Let me say that I find your powers funny. I wonder if that is really a Fullbring or just a woman's rage at her clothing. Ichigo joked before stabbing Jackie and absorbing her powers. Ichigo turned to his old ally. Don't worry, Chad. I'm not taking your powers from you. I'm only altering your memory. Ichigo told his friend. It's too early for anyone else to know about me and my new powers. With that said, Ichigo stabbed Chad with Kyokusuajetsu and focused on the Book of the End, using its power to change Chad's memory to him being sick for a few days and deciding to rest at home. With that done, Ichigo asked Yawatch to take Chad back home. Yawatch manifested and did as asked, leaving Ichigo alone with the remaining former Fullbringers. I'm not sorry for taking your powers, considering what you were planning to do to me. Because of that, I'm also not sorry for doing this. Ichigo spoke, quickly breaking everyone's neck and then performing Kanso on all of them. With Scushin officially finished, Ichigo decided to keep the headquarters and used his new powers to take the entire headquarters into his mindscape. That done, Ichigo looked to see if anyone else lived in the building. Finding no one else living here, Ichigo decided to burn the entire building down. As the fire boomed behind his back, Ichigo went back home. Later that evening, Kurosaki residence. As soon as Ichigo got back home and entered his room, he laid out on his bed and entered his mindscape to talk with his spirits about the Fullbrings he took from Scushin and his killing of them. Inside his mindscape, Ichigo, Kyoka, Zangetsu, Yawatch, and Hogyoku sat around a table. So, how is the integration of the powers I took coming along? Ichigo asked. Fine actually. Ginjo's, Katsuzawa's, and Jackie's Fullbrings were converted to Ryatsu and added to your Ryatsu reserves. Kyoka started. As for Tsukishima's Fullbring, it was integrated with me while Shishigawara's Fullbring was added to Zangetsu. Finally, the Fullbring of Dokugamine was modified to allow you to add normal objects to your spirit world, such as that bar we finished integrating here. As for Voral Burna's Fullbring, I slightly modified it so the device can be fueled by Ryatsu. Kyoka finished her report. Thank you, Kyoka, Ichigo told her. Anything important you guys want to add? He asked the others. I've decided to change the name of that kid's Fullbring, Zangetsu stated. To what? Ichigo asked with a raised eyebrow. Kunasoken, Lucky Slash, Zangetsu said. That's fine, Ichigo said. Now that Zangetsu brought it up, I decided to rename Book of the End as well, Kyoka said. Okay. To what? Ichigo asked. Yomokyoku, reading memory, Kyoka announced. I'm fine with that too, Ichigo said. Anyone have anything else to add? I do, Ichigo, Hogyoku said. I've learned that you can automatically absorb the knowledge of all victims affected by Yomokyoku, Hogyoku revealed. I am going through their memories to see if anything important to add to your knowledge or get rid of. Something like Katsuzawa's knowledge of alcohol and gentleman skills will be added. Hogyoku said. Okay. Thank you, Hogyoku. Ichigo thanked her as he got up to leave. Anything else? Ichigo questioned and no one replied. Ichigo was about to leave when he thought of something. Wait. Yawatch, you man the bar. Make sure you don't let Zangetsu drink too much. Ichigo said before leaving. As soon as he left, Zangetsu and Yawatch quickly raced towards the bar. Men. Kyoka commented as Hogyoku laughed, the two female spirits walking toward the bar after the males. Chapter 3, Arc 1, Trip to Hell. It has been a few months since meeting and dealing with the Fullbringers. Ichigo made sure to observe Chad in case there are any side effects from Yomokyoku. Kyoka told him that Ichigo received the memories of Chad from the point when he stabbed him till now. Ichigo was surprised at this new fact and suggested making Yomokyoku into something similar to a computer. Kyoka got curious about the idea and went to work on it. While that was going on, Ichigo went and combined Suki no Hansha with Kyoka Suigetsu and Kokugitsu with Zangetsu. It took a lot of effort but it was able to work. Ichigo was happy with this and used his powers to allow him to summon Suki no Hansha or Kokugitsu from his mindscape. With more training, Ichigo also gained the ability to manually leave his body without the need of a mod soul or his badge. By applying the same concept used for this katanas, Ichigo is now able to send his body into his mindscape. Kyoka was currently sitting on a computer in Ichigo's Mindscape. Following Ichigo's advice, she allowed Yomo-Kyoku to manifest as a computer inside Ichigo's Mindscape where the programs in the computer are each person affected by the Fullbring. Each file is a video file created from 24 hours of memories, and for the past few months, Kyoka, with help from Hogyoku, has been processing all of the information they got. Hearing the ping from the computer, Kyoka clicked on the new file that showed up and began watching it. A few hours later, she stopped the video and ran out of her little corner in the entire Mindscape. Ichigo! Kyoka called out. Yes, Kyoka? Ichigo replied. Are you busy right now? No. Why? I have something very important to show you. She stated. Okay. Give me 1 second to get there, Ichigo said, and a few moments later appeared in front of her. Okay. Show me. Ichigo said, and Kyoka took him to her computer and clicked play. The video starts with Rukia, Renji, Urahara, Chad, and Orihime sitting around a table at what Ichigo recognized as Urahara's shop. Kachiki-san, what happened tonight that require all that healing? Urahara asked. Well, I went out to investigate what attacked those Shinigami around the area. I soon encountered it and fought it. The being has a white mask over its face and wears a black cloak connected by white clips. On its wrist and ankles, it appears to have chains, and it had bat-like wings on its arm. It revealed itself to be Shrieker, a hollow Ichigo sent to hell. Somehow, sinners are now able to come out of hell. Rukia said. Interesting. What did the Sutecho say about this? Urahara asked. According to Nisama and Yukitake Taicho, the situation is grave. We will start by dispatching Abarai Renji and Kuchiki Rukia, who first encountered the sinner, as advance troops to the world of the living. In the event the need arises, I will provide them with procedures to infiltrate hell and to make an emergency return. Also, under no circumstances Ichigo supposed to know about this. Rukia said. Kyoka ended the video feed. I see. Thank you for letting me see this, Kyoka. Ichigo thanked her. No problem, Ichigo, Kyoka said. With that, Ichigo left the room to continue what he was doing before being called. The next day. Today is the first day of senior year for Ichigo and was walking to school alone. Ichigo noticed that Chad and Orihime were in front of him, talking about something quietly. He assumed that they were talking about the sinner and what Rukia and Renji told them yesterday. Suddenly, Ichigo heard a loud banging sound and looked like all of the support structure for the new building by the school broke. All the broken pieces started to come crashing down and everyone ran to get out of the way, except for a girl. Chad quickly sprinted and used his shoulders to block the broken pieces from hitting her. Are you all right? Chad asked. Yes. The girl said. With that, she ran inside the school building. The main western courtyard of the school was off limits for the police to see what happened. Barring that, the school day continued as normal it could, though various students were asked for their observation of the situation. Today, Ichigo had a soccer game, and from the sidelines Ichigo could see Orihime, Chad, and Yuria near the building, trying to figure what happened. Suddenly there was a big explosion, releasing a pink smoke and destroying one of the floors of the school. Ichigo then saw some kind of beings with white masks and black cloaks fighting Chad and Yuryu. As Renji and Rukia appeared to support them, the team captain called Ichigo. He looked at the captain, who told him he was being substituted in. By the end of the game, Karakura High School won 7-0. With that, Ichigo showered and went back home. I'm home, Ichigo said in a bored tone. He waited a few seconds, but all he heard was dead silence. Normally, when Ichigo arrived home, Yuzu was in the kitchen preparing dinner, doing her homework or other chores. Ichigo went into the kitchen to see if Yuzu or Karen left a note on the kitchen table. Back when they were all younger, Ichigo had instructed Yuzu and Karen to write a note if they are going anywhere, but there wasn't one on the table. Ichigo then went to the refrigerator door to see if anyone placed a note there, but once again there was no note to be found. He immediately got suspicious since they always wrote a note. Even when Karen sneaks out to Urahara, she wrote that she was taking a walk. Kyoka, can you analyze the Ryatsu in the air? Ichigo asked. Yes, I can. Give me 1 second. She replied. Shit. What is with the reaction, Kyoka? Ichigo asked. Ichigo, both Yuzu and Karen have been taken to hell. Kyoka said in terror, knowing what will happen. Kyoka, you better not be kidding with me, Ichigo said, but no response came from his spirits. Fuck. Can you detect what any of them are doing in response to this? From what I can tell, nothing has been done. I tried to see if I could find your father, but I got nothing. He could have gone to Soul Society or to seek help at Urahara's. What options do we have? I cannot just charge into hell and rescue them. I'm not supposed to have any of powers, remember? Got any ideas? Ichigo asked. Well, from what I can see from Chad's memory, Urahara is trying to get some sort of technique to jumpstart your Shinigami powers. Kyoka informed him. I see. I think if we persuade him enough, he might consider using that technique on us. But, how would it work against my powers? Ichigo considered. Well, we could build up walls around your real powers, create another container that the incoming Ryatsu will fill and hook all the Ryatsu lines to that container. Hogyoku proposed. I think that is a good idea, Ichigo said. Any bad ideas against it? Ichigo asked. Well, only that you will be off-balanced until this unknown Ryatsu out of your system. Yawatch said. I see. How much potential is lost by doing this? Ichigo asked. You would likely lose 40%, Yawatch said. Why that much? Ichigo asked. Mostly the Ryatsu you get are going to be mostly Shinigami, a little hollow and no Quincy. He answered. I see. Let's go with it. Ichigo said. Well, be careful, King. Hell may cause my powers to activate. Zangetsu warned. Alright, I'll be careful then. With that done, Ichigo ran towards Urahara's shop. Ichigo arrived there and pounded on the door. 1 second. Ichigo heard from the inside. The door opened, revealing Tessai. Sorry, Tessai stopped and realized who was at the door. Kurosaki Dano. Come in. Tessai said, opening the door to allow Ichigo to come inside. Ichigo walked in and was showed where the current meeting room is. Ichigo could see Urahara, Oraheim, Chad, Uryu, Rukia, and Rinji sitting or lying on one side of the room. On the other side, Ichigo could see a tall and lean-built man with pale skin and shoulder-length white hair. He was currently wearing a sleeveless white shirt. The upper half of his head was swathed in black bandages and he had an accompanying black sash strapped to his waist. Ichigo pretended to not see Rukia, Rinji, and the unknown man as he walked inside. Where are they? Ichigo asked. Ichi. Oraheim tried to say. God damn it, Urahara. Where the fuck are my sisters? Ichigo yelled and slammed his fist on the table. Who is he? The man asked. His name is Kurosaki Ichigo, Urahara answered. Just fucking great. Let me guess. My sisters were kidnapped by something involving the fucking spiritual world. Ichigo yelled. Rukia got annoyed and attempted to kick him in the head, but she flew through his body and crashed on the floor. Based on your reactions, something stupid just happened. Ichigo then grabbed Urahara and lifted him, slamming him to the wall. Where the fuck are my sisters? Ichigo yelled. Ichigo then felt a hand on his shoulder and turned to look at Chad. In hell, Ichigo, Chad said. Sinners from hell came and took them away. Chad, before you go any further, tell me who was in this room, and why all of you looked towards that corner a few seconds ago. Chad pointed out where Rukia and Rinji were and introduced the man named Kakuto. Chad also explained that Rukia attempted to kick him in the head but missed because she forgot Ichigo can't see or feel her. Okay, now then. Why the fuck are you not doing anything to save my sisters? Ichigo yelled towards Rukia and Rinji. It's not like we can charge in and rescue them. Rukia yelled back, but Ichigo was still glaring at them. Well. Did you idiots forget I can't see, hear, or touch any of you? Chad, please tell me what these idiots are saying. At that, Chad repeated what Rukia said. Enough, Urahara said, catching everyone's attention. Ichigo, you want to go rescue your sisters? Yes. Ichigo yelled. Very well then. With that said, Urahara went to the back room. A few seconds later, he came back holding a sky blue sword. This is something I invented to help you regain your Shinigami powers. Once the sword is stabbed into you, it will send a mass amount of Ryatsu that everyone poured into it. I started doing this approximately 6 months ago. I estimate this sword does not have enough Ryatsu to get your Shinigami powers back permanently, but enough for you to participate in this one final act. Urahara explained and gave Ichigo the sword. Thank you, Urahara, Ichigo said. However, once the Ryatsu injected to you runs out, you would likely stop having Shinigami powers permanently, Ichigo, Urahara warned. Ichigo nodded to show he understood and held the sword above his chest. Ready? Ichigo asked his spirits. Yes. All his spirits said, ready to contain this wild wave of Ryatsu. With that, Ichigo stabbed himself with the sword. A massive explosion happened around Ichigo and Ichigo's human body hit the floor. Everyone got to see Ichigo with a new Shinigami outfit and a slightly altered Zangetsu. 1. With that, Ichigo sat down and was given a rough introduction to who Kakuto is. So your name is Kakuto and you're a sinner from hell, Ichigo asked to clarify the details. Yes. That is my name and I am a sinner from hell. Kakuto replied. If you are a sinner, you know how to get to hell, Ichigo said. If that's the case, take me there, Ichigo said. Or Yuzu and Karen might die, right? Kakuto finished. The air in hell is like toxic gas to humans. If you don't get your sisters out of hell quickly, they will die. Kakuto said. He then faced Rukia and Rinji. You Shinigami should have heard about how hell is like, right? Kakuto questioned. Hell is a place for those who can't get into soul society. It is a place to keep the souls of those who have committed horrendous crimes when they were alive. For those that were exiled to hell, they were all chained up like sinners, tortured for all eternity to atone for their sins. Rukia said. Simply put, hell is a place no ordinary person can stand. Do you still want to go to hell, knowing all this information? Kakuto asked. Of course. I can't abandon my sisters there. Ichigo said. Okay, if you're that resolute, there's no harm in bringing you there, Kakuto said before he stood up. I'm doing this just to teach those idiots a lesson. With you around, I'm even more powerful. Kakuto said. Why aren't you on the same side as them? Ranji questioned. Didn't I tell you? I dislike them. Kakuto answered. You become an enemy if you dislike each other. That's what hell is like. Since you're condemned in hell, you must have committed heinous crimes too, right? Rukia asked. Indeed. I deserve to be in hell for everything I've done. But, some would betray their hearts to the darkness for the ones they loved. If that's all, though, let's get going to hell. Yeah. Ichigo said. Wait. Renji interrupted. Ichigo, are you going to trust this dubious person? I don't care if he is dubious or not, I've to get Yuzu and Karen back. For that, I need his help. Ichigo answered. Word. Renji came forward and grabbed Ichigo by the collar. Even if he's telling the truth, once you entered, isn't it playing into the hands of those fellas? Ranji questioned. I know that, but I still have to go, Ichigo argued back. Then we're going too, Rukia said. Rukia. Ichigo said. Hurry up and get ready, Kakuto said. I'm opening the gate to hell. With that, Kakuto and Ichigo walked towards the underground area. Rukia and Renji walked behind them and discussed something. Renji, when the time comes, you know what to do, right? Rukia asked. Yeah, if I have to, I will use that to bring all of us back here, Renji replied. I entrust it to you, Rukia said. No big deal, Rinji replied. Hell, 2 hours later. It had been 2 hours since the group entered Hell. Kakuto guided them through the first level of Hell, and while they ran, they encountered the Kusanada, the guardians of Hell. Just as Zangetsu warned, Ichigo's hollow powers activated by itself, Kakuto explaining that the air of Hell is dangerous to hollows. In Ichigo's case, the air makes it even worse. They eventually made it to the next floor. Unfortunately, the remaining 3 members who attacked the group earlier showed themselves. Ginjo is a thin, tall, and muscular man with long dark hair who went after Rukia. His upper face is covered with bandages and 2 scars going down from the direction of his eyes. His body armor is covered with vertical lines descending from his collar to his shins, where the armor turns black. He does not seem to have a chain on his armor. His arms are equipped with long tentacles that replace his forearms. Taikon is an obese man with pale blonde hair and faced off against Uryu. His body armor is decorated with circular lines emanating from his stomach and shoulders. He has 4 dark teardrop marks on each cheek and 1 on the bottom of his belly, with his armor hanging down from his nipples. The chains of his body armor are located on his nipples. Finally, Garagai is a muscular, gigantic man with red skin and yellow eyes, which are shadowed by his hair as he jumped at Rinji. He has dark green hair that is braided into a ponytail. His body armor is decorated with lines emanating from his sternum down to his ankles. He also has 8 black straps on his body, 1 across his stomach, 1 on each of his thighs, 2 on each arm and 1 on his neck. On his wrists and ponytail are chains that are shackled off. The group was forced to abandon them as they charged to the lower floors. Eventually, they arrived at the 4th floor, where Kakuto said Yuzu and Karen were most likely taken to. Somehow Ginjo, Taikon, and Garagai then appeared from a nearby magma pool and began attacking Kakuto. While he kept them distracted, Ichigo ran and attacked Shuren. They struck each other with a few hits. Ichigo was forced to use his fake Bankai and his hollow mask to defeat him. Yuzu. Karen. I'm coming now. Ichigo said before, out of nowhere, a sword came and stabbed him right in the chest. Ichigo fell to the ground as Kakuto came to stand in front of the fallen Ichigo. How are you, Ichigo? Kakuto asked as Ichigo stared at him in shock. Kakuto bent down and ripped his sword out of Ichigo's chest, causing him to yell in pain. Quiet, it's just a small cut. Kakuto admonished. He then swung his sword down at Ichigo, barely missing his head. Why? Ichigo asked. Why what? Kakuto asked. I did this for the same reason they did it. Didn't I say that in here, you'd be revived after you die? Suddenly from a nearby magma pool, a body jumped out near the 2. What a nuisance, why won't you remain dead for a couple of minutes? Kakuto said to the body that came out of molten magma. He then stabbed and cut the body and everyone could hear it cry out in pain and agony. You betrayed us? Ichigo asked. Everything is going according to the plan, Kakuto answered. All of you are just helping me. Come on, Hollowify and help me. Didn't you promise me? Kakuto said. What about those things you said about your sister? Ichigo asked. Those are real. My sister was killed and I beat the life out of the murderer. I was feeling great for a second. But my sister is not going to come back to life, no matter how much I think about her. So, I want everyone to have a taste of my pain. Kakuto shouted before ripping apart the black fabric that covered his face to reveal the right side of his face. It is severely burned, the burns going down the right side of his body and extending down past his abdomen. Why was I banished to hell? Why? I tried to escape many times. But, each time, the Kusanada pulverizes me and sent me back to hell. Then I saw it there, this memory in the rubbish dump. That's right, it was you fully hollowified. So, I spread this information to those guys in hell. I have to get out of here at all cost. I don't even care if the human world gets engulfed by this place. Kakuto said. Ichigo. Rukia shouted in worry as Uryu and Rinji arrived at the scene. Are you alright? She asked. Kakuto immediately vanished and struck her down. You indeed are one of Urahara tried to say before Kakuto struck him down. No. You can't cut the chain with that. Kakuto commented. Ishida. Rukia. Ichigo yelled in worry for his friends. They may have driven apart in the last few months, but he didn't want them to die. Rukia. Renji called as he ran to her side. He dodged Kakuto's attack and attempted to strike him, but the chains took the hit. What? Renji shouted in confusion before being struck down by Kakuto too. Enraged, Ichigo charged Kakuto and swung Tensa Zangetsu at him. That's the way to do it. Release all your hatred. Let out all your anger and cut this chain. Kakuto said with a grin as he blocked all of Ichigo's attacks with his chains. That's not enough. If you don't transform into the monster, you'll never beat me. Kakuto yelled. He then disappeared and reappeared on top of the skeleton with Yuzu and Karen in his arms. Look up here. Your sisters can no longer withstand hell's miasma. Kakuto commented. Both Yuzu's and Karen's skin looked a dull white and their hair looked as if it had lost its color. Look, the chain is growing out of them, Kakuto said and showed Ichigo the chain that is starting to form on his sisters' chests. Around Ichigo, black Ryatsu started to circle him. Yes, let your anger out, Kakuto said, still with a joyous grin on his face. This is hell. You don't have to hold back. Let the darkness take over. Kakuto yelled. Meanwhile, Ichigo began to yell, whether in fear or rage no one only he knew. Ichigo! Renji called out. Welcome to hell, Kakuto said and dropped the two sisters. With a loud yell, Ichigo jumped towards the skeleton structure and caught his sisters. Now fully hollified and in deep in his internal rage, Ichigo fired a large Siro at Kakuto. The sinner used the Siro to start destroying the chains on his person. Renji quickly ran towards Ichigo and cut off his horn, stopping the Siro Ichigo had been charging. The redhead then placed his hands together to activate a special seal, but Kakuto quickly ran and managed to grab Rukia and Uryu and threw them at Renji, forcing the seal to activate on the three and sending them back to the human world. All three Kurosaki were now trapped in hell, alone with Kakuto. Come on! Kakuto yelled as he kicked Ichigo in the head to wake him up. Kakuto heard Ichigo waking up and grabbed the twins before jumping back a few hundred meters to get some space. Ichigo quickly regained his bearing and saw Kakuto. He quickly charged the sinner and started swinging at Kakuto, who used his chains to block Ichigo's attacks again. Ichigo! Ichigo! You can't win. You can't win unless you let the monster out. You know this. Look around you. Kakuto yelled. Your hollow can cause all this chaos and it even broke many of my chains. Let it out. Let the monster out. Kakuto shouted. Never. Ichigo yelled and attacked again. So be it. Kakuto yelled and quickly disappeared with Yuzu and Karen to another skeleton structure a few hundred meters that somehow survived the destruction and dropped them into the magma. Seeing this quickly, Ichigo used Chuunpa to reach the twins. Unfortunately, he didn't make it and the two were swallowed up in the magma, which made him furious. Good Ichigo! Use the anger. Feel the hatred towards me. Kakuto yelled. Right below him, two little puddles of magma jumped out from the magma pit. Kakuto didn't notice as Yuzu and Karen came out from the magma and fell on their knees. They both were wearing white shihakusho with chains of hell in their chests. When they both looked up, they realized who was there. Ichi-nii? Why are you here? Yuzu asked in surprise. How are you here, Ichi-nii? Toshiro said you lost your powers. Karen said. Kakuto hearing this finally noticed the sisters and grabbed both Yuzu's and Karen's chains and pulled them up. Let me tell you something very important. Kakuto began. The way hell works is extremely simple. Those who are trapped here come back to life any number of times. But as long as they're never able to break their chains, they're trapped here for all eternity. Then all I have to do is find a way to break those chains, Ichigo replied as the Ryatsu started to spiral around him once again. How very gallant of you. In that case, I assume you'll break my chains as well? Kakuto asked. That I won't do. I'm gonna destroy you. Ichigo yelled before he suddenly started to hollowify against his will. That's it. Kakuto yelled. Excellent. Your body lost control before. This time should be easier. The truth is, you can never entirely suppress that monster within you. Struggle as much as you like. In the end, it's hopeless. Kakuto yelled as Ichigo fought the Hollowification. Ichanii. Yuzu and Karen yelled in worry for their brother. Keep your voice down. Wouldn't want to disturb the transformation, Kakuto told them as he watched the transformation. Do you hear that, Ichigo? The Kushinaga are emerging. They've sensed the change in your spiritual pressure. In the distance, one could hear the cliffs shake as the Kushinaga slowly appeared and slowly marched towards Ichigo. They'll be here soon to devour the man who has the powers to destroy hell. To survive, you'll have to hollowify. Kakuto laughed evilly. Or would you rather be devoured? Kakuto questioned. It doesn't matter. You'll just come right back to life. So, you ready to crush hell? If not, the cycle will just repeat endlessly. That's not gonna happen. I won't let it. Ichigo promised before he broke one of his horns, causing his hollow form to deteriorate. Seeking revenge on everyone because your feelings were hurt? What a waste of energy. It's childish to blame your pain on those around you and refuse to take responsibility for your actions. How long do you think you can run from your pain before it consumes you? The main reason I came back here was to save my family. And I will. But I refuse. I refuse to sacrifice those around me. Ichigo yelled as his hollow shell slowly broke apart into Ryatsu. Throughout the entire exchange, the army of Kushinaga marched closer and closer towards Ichigo. Ichanii behind you. Yuzu screamed. Run, Ichanii. Karen yelled. I will fight for my family with everything I have in my soul. Ichigo yelled and the last bits of his hollow form shattered into Ryatsu. Ichanii. Both Yuzu and Karen yelled as a Kushinaga slammed his hand down, crushing Ichigo. Inside Ichigo's Mindscape. Why am I here? Ichigo asked once he noticed that he was in his Mindscape. Someone is here to speak to you, Ichigo, Hogyoku told him and pointed to the figure. The figure she pointed at was very large, standing at least 10 feet tall. It appeared similar to the Kushinada's. However, they all could see this being was much powerful than the Kushinadas they saw roaming hell. Hello, Kurosaki Ichigo. I am the leader of the Kushinadas and current gatekeeper of this realm. Gatekeeper Kushinaga said. What? Everyone asked in surprise and various expressions of shock. Due to a major war many centuries ago, the previous ruler disappeared from hell. Before she disappeared, she used her remaining powers to create the Kushinadas. She knew she was not going to be able to take care of hell anymore. So she decided to implant 3 commands in their mind. The first, to drag all sinners to hell. The second, to torment all sinners, and the last and most important one, to find a new Jigaku no Kodai, Emperor of Hell. Gatekeeper Kushinaga said. What? Everyone said in surprise. You see, this realm's true mission has not been achieved and it can only be achieved if a Jigaku no Kodai is in place. Gatekeeper Kushinaga revealed. Why me? Ichigo asked. There are a few requirements that she added for the Kushinadas to find a suitable being to become the Jigaku no Kodai. The first requirement is that the being has to be someone who has the power to destroy the chains of hell, which only a god-class being would be able to do. Ichigo nodded his head, remembering that in his rampage, he started to destroy the chains of hell. Even though you were not at your full strength, you were able to destroy them. I see. Ichigo said. The next requirement is that the next Jigaku no Kodai must have a pure soul. You, Ichigo, are someone who has not sinned. Gatekeeper Kushinaga said. What about the Fullbringers that I have killed? I've killed people. Ichigo said. The large Kusanada chuckled. That is true, you killed these Fullbringers. However, did you enjoy killing them or desire to kill more? No. Ichigo yelled, horrified at the idea of killing more people. The act of killing is not a sin, especially since you witnessed how much effort they went through to kill you. The gatekeeper Kusanada explained. However, if you decided to continue killing and enjoyed killing for the sake of killing, then that would be a sin. I see. That fool Kakuto is an example of a sinner. He killed his sister's killer and then continued to kill others. I understand, Ichigo stated, and the gatekeeper Kusanada continued. The third requirement is that the next Jigaku no Kotai must be willing to come to hell from their own free will. The being said. No one ever enters hell willingly. However, you and your friends did. You came because it is your duty as an older brother to protect and rescue your little sisters. While your friends came because they desired to help you. The gatekeeper Kusanada explained. And the last and final requirement is that the candidate must be human. The powers that I will bestow on you will not work if your soul is solid. Shinigami and Hollow Souls are too hardened to allow something like my powers to work with. I see. Ichigo thought it all over for a couple of moments before asking something. What abilities and responsibilities do I gain if I become the Jigaku no Kotai? You understood that there are responsibilities tied to becoming Jigaku no Kotai. You're perceptive. That's good. The gatekeeper Kusanada praised him. All positions of power have responsibilities tied to them, Ichigo answered back. True. Your first responsibility as the Jigaku no Kotai is to allow sinners who have paid for their sins to enter the cycle of reincarnation. Okay. Hogyoku, do you think you can help me create a gate or something? I will look into that, Hogyoku promised. Ichigo looked back at the gatekeeper Kusanada, which continued with his explanation. The second responsibility of the Jigaku no Kotai is to make sure all sinners who escape hell are properly dealt with. Any other responsibilities? Ichigo asked. No. The being replied. Now, as the Jigaku no Kotai, you gain the ability to summon the gates of hell, summon myself or my army of Kusanada, an ability called Suminomi, Eye of Sin, which allows you to see all sins that a person has committed, and the power to summon hellfire. You will also be able to revive any soul that dies in hell and summon the chains of hell to control at your will. You also, however, must wear this armor. He manifested a suit of armor that looked like nothing Ichigo had ever seen before. The entire armor is golden for starters, and it had a skull on each shoulder to function as shoulder pads and covered the arms as well. Another skull covered the left side of the chest and it had a spike skirt on the front. This is the Jigaku no Yoroi, armor of hell. The gatekeeper Kusanada stated. Wait, can I use this with any of my other forms? Ichigo asked. You can use these powers without the armor, but they will be significantly weaker. You can also use the armor with your human body. Now, Ichigo Kurosaki, are you willing to accept my offer of power willingly given by me and become the next Jigaku no Kotai? I, Ichigo Kurosaki, accept this offer and accept the title of Jigaku no Kotai. Ichigo declared, and he was then engulfed by a column of golden light. Outside Ichigo's Mindscape, 4th level of hell. A golden glow started to illuminate the cracks of the Kusanada's hand that had crushed Ichigo. The Kusanada started to turn into golden Ryatsu that flew towards Ichigo's crushed spot. You lost control after all. That's good. Now go destroy them. Kakuto yelling, mistaking the scene as Ichigo losing control. Once Kakuto got a clear look, however, he saw Ichigo surrounded by a golden light. What's this? Kakuto questioned. More and more Kusanadas started being converted into golden Ryatsu, all of it flowing towards Ichigo. Soon a golden pillar formed, causing Kakuto to let go of Yuzu and Karen's chain to shield his eyes from the blinding light. After the pillar disappeared, all the remaining Kusanadas took a knee and bowed. Ichigo quickly jumped and caught both of his sisters, slashing their chains off. Everyone then looked at Ichigo, who now wore some type of golden armor while holding Zangetsu, still in its fake Bankai state. What is this? What have you done? Kakuto yelled in anger. Ichigo looked at Kakuto. Ichigo's chocolate brown eyes gained a golden glow to it as he activated Tsumi no Mi and learned why Kakuto was in hell. Kakuto, think for a second. Would your sister be happy with what you have done? Taking revenge for her death and then killing more people while using her as an excuse? Ichigo said. Kakuto sneered at Ichigo. Hell did not give me this power to exact revenge. Hell wants me to stop all of you. Hell is asking an outsider for help so that you, Kakuto, will not escape. Ichigo shouted. And his armor glowed an eerie golden as if in agreement with his statements. So you're saying Hell would ask for help from a human to stop me? Impossible. Kakuto yelled and dashed at Ichigo. We are similar. We're both human and older brothers. Ichigo admitted before he swung Zangetsu and fired a beam of golden light, similar to a Getsuga Tensho, at Kakuto. He took it full front and once the beam faded away, the space between Ichigo and Kakuto was a big long trench. The chains of hell fell off of Kakuto. I'm free. Kakuto yelled as he checked to make sure. Sure enough, none of Chain of Hell were on him anymore. But then, below him, he heard it. The sound of chains rattling. No. No. Kakuto yelled as, from the trench, Chain of Hell shot straight out, reaching about 50 feet in the air. Immediately, all of them went after Kakuto, trying to hook him. The sinner attempted to fight against the chains, but soon, one by one, they caught him. This is your punishment for the sins you've committed while trying to escape from hell. You will spend all eternity repenting for your evil deeds. Kakuto was then dragged into the deepest, darkest part of hell. That done, Ichigo quickly went to check on his sisters. Yuzu. Karen. Are you alright? Ichigo asked. Yes, Ichi and I. Yuzu and Karen assured him. Hold on tight, Ichigo told them, and they did so before he used Chuunpa to take them out of hell. Ichigo then vanished the armor and willed the gate of hell to open. Remember to crash land to make them think that your powers ran out. We'll help you get into a coma, just like when you used the final Getsuga Tensho. Kyoka reminded him. Thanks, Ichigo said. Outside, he could see Rukia, Rinji, Urahara, and various captains surrounding the area. Ichigo purposely crash-landed on the dirt, angling his body so that he would take most of the impact. Once they crashed, Ichigo's vision faded to black, as heard several people calling out his name. Chapter 4, Arc 1, The New Emperor of Hell. Scene start, Ichigo's Mindscape. Kyoka estimated that it should take Ichigo a few days of coma and rest to fake recovery and stabilize his body. While Ichigo was stuck in his Mindscape, he used his new powers to face off against Zangetsu and Yawatch so he could master them. Surprisingly, Zangetsu and Yawatch couldn't break or absorb his hell chains. They also found out that hellfire cannot be put out unless the target is destroyed or Ichigo summons it back. Ichigo also used Yomo Kyoku to make sure he did not fall back behind the class. He was currently watching the recording of today's class when, suddenly, a small gate of hell opened up and a smaller Kusanada than he was used to walked out and bowed to Ichigo. Jigaku no Kodai, we ask if you can start accomplishing the goals that your predecessor asked to be done. The Kusanada inquired. Sure. Lead the way. Ichigo replied. With that Ichigo, all his spirits and the Kusanada walked through the gate. Hell, 4th level. Everyone walked out of the gate of hell to see they were at the 4th level. Looking down, Ichigo saw that they were standing on a Kusanada. Let's start with a bang, Ichigo said and summoned the Jigaku no Yoroi. He then decided to use his authority to revive all the sinners who died. I, the new Jigaku no Kodai, call upon my divine authority to summon all sinners in this realm, whether the sinner is alive or dead. Ichigo yelled. Suddenly, a pillar of yellow Ryatsu shot straight up and slowly yellow Ryatsu descended towards the lower levels of hell. Soon, various limbs start rising from the black sand. The other, living, sinners who were hiding from the Kusanada felt compelled to go to the 4th level. 10 minutes later, the Kusanada below him told Ichigo that all sinners in hell had arrived. Everyone was talking and asking around, trying to figure out what was going on. Ichigo then used his Ryatsu to amplify his voice so all sinners could hear him. "Sinners of hell, shut up!" Ichigo yelled, and all the sinners immediately stopped talking and stared at the figure in golden armor. "I am the new Jigaku no Kotai. To those who don't know what that is, I am the ruler of hell. I am here to accomplish the true goal of hell." Everyone was whispering to each other, wondering what Ichigo was talking about. "That goal," Ichigo continued, "everyone quickly shut up, is for those who have paid for their sins to be able to leave hell," Ichigo said, astonishing many at the news of the possibility of being freed from their chains. "Now then, many of you are wondering how I am going to determine if you have paid for your sins or not." Ichigo addressed the problem. "Watch." Having said that, Ichigo generated a small purple ball in his hand and threw it towards a cliff. Everyone watched as the purple ball hit the cliff and a purple explosion rocked the cliff, launching dust everywhere. Once the dust cleared, they could see a large white archway with some kind of silver liquid floating inside of it. This will be known as the Archway of Forgiveness. When you feel that you have paid for your sins, you can attempt to walk through the archway. If the archway deems that you have paid for your sins, you have two options. The first option is that you enter the cycle of reincarnation. The second option is that you have many of your memories erased except for your name, and the archway places you somewhere between the 1st to 5th districts of Soul Society. If you have enough Ryatsu to become a Shinigami, you will feel a strange compulsion to go to the 1st district and will likely get sponsored by a Shinigami to become one. Ichigo explained. A warning to those who want to attempt the archway: if you enter the archway and it determines that you have not paid for your sins, you will be in absolute isolation for 10 years. You will temporarily lose all 5 senses and powers while in absolute isolation. In those 10 years, you will experience all the sins that you committed as well as what the victims felt. Once those 10 years are over, you may attempt again. If the archway still deems that you have not repented of your sins, then you shall be marked to become the toy of the Kushinaga for 20 years. Ichigo threatened. All of you will enter the archway in 10 years. If not, then all remaining will be marked to become a toy of the Kushinaga for 20 years. After I leave, those new sinners who enter hell will receive an orientation that will explain to them what is going to happen to them. For 10 years, they will become another toy for the Kushinaga. After that, they will have an attempt to enter the archway. What about those who feel that they do not deserve hell? Someone asked. For those who do not feel that they deserve hell, I will arrange a private meeting place, Ichigo said, and created another purple ball, throwing it at another cliff. This time, it became a little office with Hogyoku as a secretary. Once inside, I will pass judgment in the meeting place. If your claim is valid, then I'll cut your chain off personally and perform Kanso to allow you to go to Soul Society. Ichigo promised. However, if your claim is false, then you will immediately go to absolute isolation for 20 years. And then become a toy for the Kushinaga for another 40. After that, you'll have an opportunity to enter the archway. Ichigo warned them. With that said, Ichigo turned and used Shuunpa to go to the little office. He then sat down and waited. Ichigo, the first 1,000 or so are Quincies, Hogyoku said. What? Ichigo said. Why are they here? Ichigo, have you forgotten that, other than yourself, all the attacks the Quincy used destroy the soul? That itself is an act that will cause a person to enter hell. Yawatch said. I see. I will go outside to address this then. Ichigo said, standing up and walking outside. To all of you that are Quincies in this line, I want to warn you. Your powers as a Quincy destroy a soul. In the eyes of hell, that act by itself guarantees a ticket here. I will still honestly judge you to the best of my abilities, but be warned, I look at all sins. Ichigo told the crowd before walking back inside his office. Once Ichigo was seated, he told Hogyoku to let the first ones in. Majority of the Quincies that entered reminded Ichigo of Uriah when they first met. Stuck up, believing that Quincies were the best and feeling no remorse or guilt for the hollows they destroyed. You can do it, Ichigo. Only 3 more Quincies left. Oh, and due to the old age of one of them, I am going to allow the 3 to walk in together. Is that fine? Hogyoku asked. Sure, Ichigo assured her. One of Quincies them opened the door for the other two to walk inside. Ichigo immediately noticed the old man and summoned 2 more chairs for them. The elderly man has gray hair, a gray mustache, and glasses. His eyes were deep gray and he had a bit of a beard on his chin. His skin was wrinkled with age and he had pronounced cheekbones. He wore a brown tunic covering what appears to be a white Quincy outfit that reminded Ichigo of Uryu. The next woman has black hair with blue eyes and her large hair is kept in a bun. She wears a white shirt and black long skirt. Soon the last woman sat down and once she did, Ichigo immediately stood up, recognizing her wavy brown hair. Mom? Ichigo asked in shock. The woman with brown hair looked up and her eyes filled with tears once she recognized who stood in front of her. Ichigo! She screamed and the two hugged each other. The elder man and woman were both astonished at the news of their kin's relationship with the new Jigaku no Kotai. The man who brought back hope and fear to many of the sinners was, in fact, Masaki's eldest son. After hugging her son for a couple of moments, Masaki broke the hug and opened her mouth to ask so many questions. Mom, before we continue, please introduce me to your friends. Ichigo interrupted her. Sure. The old man is my stepfather, your grandfather, Ishida Soken. The women are Ishida Kane. She said. Are you perhaps related to Ishida Ryukin, Soken-san? Ichigo asked to clarify his assumptions. Yes. He is my son. Soken answered. And are you a sister of Ishida Ryukin, Kane-san? Ichigo asked. No. I'm Ryukin's wife, Kane answered. Shit. Ichigo cursed. Language. Both Masaki and Kane admonished him. Out of all people I'm taking back to the human world, it's my Oka-san, mother, Obasan, aunt, and Anajia-san, grandfather, Ichigo stated, still a bit shocked at his luck. Wait, you'll take us out of hell? Masaki said. Of course I am, Ichigo assured them. But I thought you died and got chosen, Masaki said. Oka-san. I'm only 18. A few days ago, I invaded hell to rescue Yuzu and Karen. He explained. What? The three yelled in shock. At that, Ichigo decided to explain the true story to the three. Everything from him getting his powers from Rukia to Ichigo pretending to lose his powers and to how he became the Jigaku no Kotai. After Ichigo finished telling his story, Masaki immediately hugged her son. Ichigo, I am so proud of you. I know that you blamed yourself for my death, but I want you to know I am proud of who you have become. Masaki told her eldest. Sorry for being the stick in the mud, but how are we going to go back to the human world without any Shinigami or Hollow trying to attack us? Kane asked and the other two's joy deflated. Well, I have an idea. I have an ability that allows me to store anything in my Mindscape. I'll just place you three in there and when I leave hell, I'll get Aizen, Uryu, Yuzu, and Karen to meet up somewhere safe and release you. Ichigo proposed. The three decided that was the best chance they got. With that, Ichigo sent all three to his Mindscape and walked out of hell. Human world, Ichigo's room. The next morning, Ichigo stood and stretched his body, hearing various body parts crack. Everyone made it? Ichigo asked. Yes, Ichigo, Masaki replied. With that done, Ichigo slowly changed into something casual and walked downstairs. Good morning, Ichigo said once he was downstairs and he was quickly tackled by two girls. Luckily, he was able to keep his balance. Ichi nii. Yuzu and Karen shouted in surprise and joy. You woke up. Yuzu added. Everyone said that you'd still be in a coma for another week, Karen said. How long was I out? Ichigo asked. Only for a few days, Yuzu told her brother. Wow. Ichigo said in fake surprise. So, what happened after I blacked out? When you crashed, all the Taicho and Fukuteicho were standing around ready to attack whatever came out of the gates of hell. Yuzu started. Imagine their surprise when they saw all three of us coming from the gates of hell. Somehow you crashed right in front of the Soteicho. Karen continued. Anohana Taicho immediately took us to the temporary medical area Urahara provided for her to use. She reported that Yuzu and I were fine. But she also told us that she expected you to be in a coma for another few days, maybe even a week. Yuzu concluded. What about the others? Rukia? Ranji? Yurio? Ichigo asked. Those three are fine. When they came out of hell, all they had were some wounds and low Ryatsu. Karen said. I see. Ichigo said. Hey, girls, how about we go visit Okasan's shrine today? He then asked out of the blue. Why? Yuzu asked. Well, during the fight against Kakuto, I heard the voices of three people. One of the voices sounded like Okasan's. She guided me to use that armor to defeat Kakuto, free you two from your chains, and guided us out of hell. Ichigo lied to the girls. Okay. Then sure, Ichi and I. We can go visit her. Karen said and left the room. Let me pack lunch. Yuzu said and ran towards the kitchen. Ichigo went to his bed and dialed the Ryukin number. Hello? Ryukin asked on the other side of the line. Aja-san, this is Ichigo. Ichigo said. Hello, Ichigo. What do you want? Ryukin asked. I want to ask if you want to come to my Okasan's shrine today. Why? He asked. If you didn't know, Yuzu and Karen got kidnapped by hell. Ichigo started. What? Ryukin shouted in shock and worry. Long story short, I used a technique Urahara created to get back my powers temporary and went to hell to rescue the girls. While I was down there fighting the kidnappers, I heard three voices. One of those voices sounded like my Okasan. She guided me to use this set of armor to defeat Kakuto, free the girls from their chains, and then guided us out of hell. Ichigo reiterated his lie to his uncle. Is Ishin coming too? Ryukin asked. No. Okay, then. Do you want me to bring Yuryu? Sure. If you wish to bring him, that's fine. Ichigo assured him. With that done, Ichigo hung his phone up. Yuzu and Karen then called from downstairs, stating that they were ready. The three siblings then left the house and walked quietly to the shrine. Ichigo, are you sure this is going to work? Masaki asked from her son's Mindscape. I believe that it'll work. Just make sure you three mention that you attached yourselves to my soul or something. Ichigo thought back to her. Okay. Masaki agreed. Eventually, the three reached the shrine. Once there, they saw Ryukin waiting for them. Yuzu, Karen. This is Ishida Ryukin. Aja-san, meet your nieces. Hello, Yuzu. Hello, Karen. The doctor greeted. Hello, Aja-san. Yuzu and Karen greeted with smiles, happy to finally meet their uncle. The four then started praying for Masaki. Okasan, this is Yuzu. Thank you for helping Oniai-chan rescue us from hell. I hope wherever you are watching us. Yuzu prayed. Hello, Okasan. This is Karen. Thank you for helping Ichi and I with his rescue mission. I know that Yuzu and I don't remember you much, but thank you anyway. Karen prayed. Masaki, this is Ryukin. I want to apologize for not getting involved with your son before. It is my fault. If I was not so selfish with hating my Quincy heritage, I might have been there to help you. If not, I could have been there to help teach Ichigo, Yuzu, and Karen about their Quincy heritage. Wherever you are. I hope you found Kane and Otosan. Ryukin prayed. Okasan, Obasan, Aja-san. Are you three ready? Ichigo asked. Yes, Masaki stated. I am. I hope Ryukin doesn't attack us. Kane said. Calm down, Kane. It will be fine. Soken assured his daughter-in-law. Alright then, I'm going to give the three of them a few minutes to get to know each other. You three will appear and explain how you got into hell and how I indirectly freed you, and then you three used me to get out of hell. Ichigo instructed them. Yuzu, Karen, Aizen, Ichigo called out, getting the three's attention. I'm going to find a spot to set up lunch. Why don't you use this time to get to know each other? Ichigo suggested. Sure, Oni-chan. Yuzu agreed, Karen nodding in agreement. That's fine by me. Ryukin also agreed. Ichigo then left the three to find a spot to lay out the blanket. So, Aizen, what do you do for a job? Yuzu asked. I am the director of Karakura General Hospital, Ryukin replied. Really? Yuzu said as Karen closed her eyes and leaned on a tree. It's nice, isn't it, Karen? Someone said. Yeah. Karen replied. At that moment, Karen realized that voice wasn't Yuzu's or Ryukin's. She quickly opened her eyes to see a transparent woman standing in front of her. She had fair skin and long, light, wavy brown hair tied in a knot in the back and bangs down to her chin in the front. She was wearing a plain white shirt and a black skirt. What caught Karen's attention the most, however, were her eyes. They're brown, the same shade as her Oni-chan. Who are Dash? Karen started to ask. Masaki. Ryukin interrupted Karen as he looked at Masaki in shock. Hello, Ryukin. How are you? Masaki asked, turning her gaze to her ex-fiancé. Fine. But, how are you here? Ryukin asked, still shocked. Before I answer that, we still have 2 more guests to show up. Masaki said, and 2 more figures showed up. Kane, Otosan. Ryukin murmured in shock before running toward the 2 spirits and hugging them. After a few moments to take everything in, he immediately started to interrogate them. Are you our Oka-san? Yuzu asked, tears starting to form on her eyes as well as her twins. Yes, Yuzu. I am your Oka-san. Masaki confirmed with a motherly smile directed at the twins. Both Yuzu and Karen ran up and hugged her, their tears running down their cheeks. After a few moments of them crying, the 2 let go of Masaki as Ryukin finished his interrogation of Kane and Soken. How are you all here? He asked. Well, Ryukin, when all 3 of us died, we all ended up going to hell. Soken started. What? The 3 humans yelled in shock and outrage, in the case of Ryukin. Calm down and let Soken-Otosan answer, dear. Kane admonished her husband, and Ryukin quickly shut up. All Quincies, once they die, will end up going to hell. The reason for that is because of our power. We destroy souls with our attacks. That single act guarantees a ticket to hell. Soken explained to them. How are you 3 out of hell then? Yuzu asked. Well, that's all thanks to Ichigo, Masaki stated. How? Karen asked. Well, during Ichigo's fight with Kakuto, I attempted to stop him from hollowifying again. The Kusanada then bestowed Ichigo with special powers, which allowed him to cut the chains of hell and permanently seal away Kakuto. The attack Ichigo used somehow managed to reach all of us and freed us from the chains. When Ichigo was leaving hell with you, all 3 of us used Terenkyaku to escape as well. Masaki said. So, are you going to Soul Society now? Karen asked after taking a moment to take everything in. Do you want me to? Masaki asked. No. But. Karen trailed off. Karen, look at our chains, Masaki told her daughter. All 3 of the humans looked and saw that the chains of their loved ones were long and each link was whole. We will only start hollowifying if you feel guilty or remorseful or full of negative emotion. All of us don't have that anymore. We were full of it when we were alone in hell, but, once we found each other, we helped each other recover. Masaki explained. Where are you going to live then? Yuzu asked. We haven't thought about that yet, Soken stated. Well, how about my place? Ryukin suggested. I have done several modifications to my house that will allow no one to sense you 3 while you're there. It's also a place all 3 of you know. Also, due to some of the modifications, you could interact with the house even as spirits. You will be able to cook, read, and more. That seems fair. Karen agreed. Everyone else agreed with the idea too. Wait. What about Oniai-chan? Does he know about this? Yuzu asked. He doesn't, probably. Remember, Urahara and Gochin explained to us that Ichigo rescuing us with that experimental technique ended up permanently destroying his Ryatsu reserves. He will not be able to become a Shinigami again. There's a high chance he will not be able to become a Shinigami even when he dies. Karen answered. I know, but should we tell him about this? Yuzu asked. I don't think so, Yuzu. If Ichi and I found out about Okasan, what do you think he would do to see her again? Karen said. She could already imagine her brother trying to kill himself just to see their mother again. You're right, Yuzu sadly agreed. She too knew the amount of guilt that her brother had for Masaki's death could lead him into doing something stupid just so he could see their mother again. Yuzu, Karen, Ajasan. I found a perfect spot to eat. Ichigo yelled as he walked back to join them. He then guided the three towards the spot and the four had lunch there. Eventually, they were finished and everyone left, Ryukin taking the three spirits with him back to his house. A few months later. In the few months since the fiasco involving Hell, Ichigo returned to the life he had been living for the last few years. Oraheim, Yurio, and Chad returned to ignore Ichigo and he continued to sell himself to the various clubs at school. Time passed and it was now the last month of school. Ichigo and everyone else in his class studied as much as they could before the impending last week. 3 weeks later, finals week arrived. Everyone attempted to do their best on these tests, whether praying to whatever god they believed in or try and get that much more cramming in. Whatever the students did, they all passed. Everyone was relieved until the scores came up. For the past 2 years, Ichigo and Yurio competed against each other for the top spot, Ichigo winning in the first year and Yurio in the second. Now their final year arrived and everyone was waiting to see who got the highest score. The headmaster held the last 10 highest scores to be announced on the intercom. In his classroom, Ichigo sat and read a book while Yurio and Oraheim talked with each other. Somehow those two had started dating out of nowhere. Suddenly everyone heard a click and a calm but stern voice spoke from the intercom. Good morning, students. This is your headmaster speaking. I am here to announce to you the top 10 students from the class of 2007. He said. Everyone ignored the bottom 8 spots, more interested in the top spot, though Ichigo was surprised that Oraheim took third place. Now then, the final moment that you have all been waiting for. The headmaster started. The student with the highest score of the class of 2007 is. He stopped and everyone heard him open an envelope. Kurosaki Ichigo. The headmaster yelled. Ichigo smiled at the announcement and stood up. He walked over to Yurio and shook his hand. Thanks for being my rival. Ichigo thanked him before sitting back down. To Ichigo, nothing else mattered at this point. He was about to finish high school and get out of this town to go see the world. A week later. The graduation ceremony went well. Ichigo noticed that a lot of people from his past who had been ignoring him for the past years showed up, but he ignored them the entire ceremony. After graduation, many people came to congratulate him. Some of these people included Urahara, Ryukin, and Yoruchi. Urahara even invited Ichigo back to the store, but he declined and said that he would visit at a later time. Ichigo had decided to wait for a week after graduation to leave. Karen was supposed to be at a soccer camp for the entire week and Yuzu would be at a friend's house for a classic anime marathon on Thursday. Ichigo packed all of his personal belongings in secret from his family. These included the few photos he kept, his various collections of books, his clothing, and any other personal item he owned. He sent all of that to his Mindscape and asked Hogyoku to organize it for him. On his last day in Karakura, Ichigo received a phone call. Apparently, due to an accident at camp, Karen was coming home early. Ichigo grabbed the keys and drove to pick up her from camp. Arriving at the soccer camp, he picked up Karen and helped get all her stuff in the car before they began to drive back to Karakura town. So, Karen, how was camp? Besides the accident, of course. Ichigo asked. It was fine, Karen replied. The two continued to do some small talk until there wasn't anything else to say. After a while, Karen spoke up. Ichi-nii. She started, nervous and not meeting him in the eye. Yes, Karen? Ichigo replied, curious about why she was nervous. Ichi-nii, can you take me to Urahara's instead of home? Why? Ichigo asked as he left the freeway. Please don't get mad at me. Karen pleaded. Karen. Fine, I will not get mad at you unless it is justified. Ichigo relented. My boyfriend is coming to visit at Urahara, Karen mumbled. Ichigo was surprised at what she said and decided that he needed his undivided attention for this. He may be leaving, but he is still her older brother. He found a spot and parked the car before focusing his whole attention on Karen. What do you mean boyfriend? Is he a Shinigami? Ichigo questioned. Yes. She mumbled, looking down at her lap. Who is it? Ichigo asked as he tried to think of anyone that could be his sister's first boyfriend. It's Toshiro, Karen told him, finally looking at him with nervous eyes. When? Ichigo asked with a monotone tone. He wasn't showing it, but he was hurt that Karen was only telling him about this now. When? Karen asked, confused. When did you and Toshiro become a couple? Ichigo asked with a frown and Karen winced. After the hell incident, Karen mumbled, fearing what would happen. Why am I only now hearing this? Ichigo asked. Why did you not ask me? Karen could not figure out what to say. I asked Dad and he said it was fine. I see. Ichigo said. Turning to the front, he started the car and drove off towards Karakura town. The whole trip to Urahara's was done in silence. When Karen got off, Ichigo saw Toshiro and Urahara outside, both in gigace. Karen gave Toshiro a quick hug and dragged him inside, while Urahara looked at Ichigo before he drove off. Ichigo ended up eating dinner alone. Karen called in and said she was sleeping at Urahara's. Yuzu was also sleeping at her friend's house while Ishin was somewhere he didn't know. It was while eating ramen for dinner that Ichigo realized that he had some important things to tell his friends and family. He spent the next few hours writing a few letters. One letter for everyone to read and another for only Yuzu and Karen. The last letter was for Yamajiji, warning him of the future. The next day, Ichigo woke up, put a comfortable set of clothing and ate breakfast before placing the letter to everyone on the fridge and the other two letters in Yuzu's and Karen's room. After that, Ichigo walked out of his house and looked at it for a while, reflecting on everything that had happened for these last 18 years. So, you are actually planning, Ichigo? Ichigo turned around to see Masaki. I am, Okasan, Ichigo confirmed. I understand. But. Masaki tried to say before she started to cry. Ichigo walked up to her and hugged his mother. Okasan, it's not your fault. This is something I have to do. I became what everyone in this town needed. I became a father figure for Yuzu and Karen. I became a protector for those who needed it. I became a substitute Shinigami to protect my friends. It's time for me to leave. I am not needed anymore. Everyone here sees what I became, not who I truly am. Ichigo said and wiped the tears out of her eyes. Be safe, my little protector. She told her oldest before leaving to go back to Ryuken's house. Ichigo then looked back at the house he had lived in for his whole life so far. Sayonara. Chapter 5 Arc 1 is Secrets Revealed. Kurosaki Residence. I'm home, Yuzu announced as she arrived home, expecting someone to reply. Hearing no reply back, she went to the dinner table to see if there was a note, but found nothing. She looked over to the fridge and saw a piece of paper on it. Getting closer, Yuzu realized that this was not a normal note, but a letter. She began to read it and at first thought it was a lie. She reread it and tears began to drip. Grabbing her phone as she began to try, Yuzu called Ichigo. After numerous calls and texts and him not picking up or answering back, she called Karen. "Hello?" Karen replied. "Karen, where are you right now?" Yuzu asked. "At Urahara's right now." "Why?" Karen replied. "Is Dad there as well?" She asked. "Yes, he's here." "Yuzu, what happened?" Karen asked, beginning to worry. "Stay there, I am coming. Also, call everyone. Now." Yuzu said and hung up. She then ran to her room, picked up the other letters and ran towards Urahara's shop. "Karen, was that Yuzu?" Ishin asked. "Yes." "She sounded mad or scared, Gochin." "She also told me to get everyone here." Karen informed him. "Okay, I'll gather everyone." Ishin agreed with a nod. 10 minutes later, Yuzu arrived at Urahara's shop out of breath and with her eyes red from crying. "Yuzu, why are you crying?" Karen asked in worry. "Give this to everyone and tell them to read it," Yuzu said before began to cry in the corner. Karen looked at her sister in worry, wanting to calm her down, but she needed to know what happened to do that. Urahara grabbed the original letter and made copies of it, passing them around to all those gathered. After everyone finished reading the letter, a lot of emotions began to fly. "Everyone, this is me, Ichigo. If you are reading this, then I have already left town. I will return someday, but Karakura town does not feel like it's my home anymore right now. The people who I fought for, the people that I sacrificed everything for, abandoned me. My friends no longer spend time with me. As for family, I haven't seen Gochin since the fall of Aizen. He has been avoiding me for all these years. Whether he doesn't want to talk about his past or whatever it is, he abandoned me. As for my sisters, I can see that you two are growing older, old enough that your Oniai-chan doesn't need to be in the picture. Karen, you are starting to get stronger to protect those you love. Yuzu, I know you try to not show it, but I know you are worried about me. I just need some time away from everything. Now, my dear sisters, I wrote 3 more letters. 2 of them are for you too, while the other one is for Yamajiji. Please give that one to Toshiro or Yoruchi. I expect them to be able to give the letter to Yamaji and not open it. Please do not look for me, everyone. I need this. I need this time for myself to find a reason to live because I don't have one anymore. I will see you all someday. Yuzu and Karen, I don't blame you for doing this. If you do not wish to go back home, though, then you can ask Aji-san for a place to stay." Everyone had different reactions to the news that Ichigo left. Karen joined Yuzu in the corner, and she began to cry. Toshiro tried to comfort her. Yuzu stopped crying for a moment and joined Toshiro in trying to comfort Karen. Orihime also broke down and Chad tried to comfort her while internally depressed at realizing that he broke his promise to Ichigo. Yurio understood to a degree how Ichigo felt. When he had lost his powers the first time, he also felt like this, without purpose. At that time, though, Ichigo did not allow him to feel miserable or alone. Urahara, Yoruchi, Toshiro, Rukia, and Rinji all felt miserable. They had spread the word of Ichigo wanting to be left alone from the spiritual side of the world. Ishin, however, felt horrible. Not only didn't he notice how his son was feeling, but he was the one that told the others to spread those lies and thus started all of this. Normally, I would allow all of you to stay in my shop. But, I think that everyone has overstepped their welcome. Everyone, please leave. Except for the Kurosaki twins. If you wish to stay here, you are most welcome. Urahara stated, directing his words first to everyone and then to only Yuzu and Karen. That would be fine until we can get in contact with Aji-san. Yuzu said. That will not be a problem, Yuzu-chan. I am happy to host both of my nieces at my home. Ryukin revealed himself as he stepped into the room. And your mother gives you permission, Masaki added as she levitated next to Ryukin. Masaki! Ishin yelled in shock. He quickly got up and attempted to hug her, but she slapped him in the face and began kicking him. "You stupid, idiot," she yelled. "You thought you were helping Ichigo, Ishin. But you forgot that he doesn't have many friends. The small number of friends he has all know about the spiritual side, and you all told them to avoid him." Masaki admonished, finally done kicking Ishin. She then looked at the others. "As to all of you, you're all failures as Ichigo's friends." She yelled at everyone before focusing on Chad, Orohime, and Yuryu. "You three. All of you were with Ichigo during the invasion of Soul Society and then the war with Aizen. Did any of you need to talk to someone about what you witnessed during the war?" Masaki asked. "Yes." The three replied at the same time, a bit scared for the Kurosaki matriarch. "And who was there for Ichigo to talk to?" she asked, and no one answered. "That's right. No one," Masaki yelled. Taking a deep breath, not that she needed to since she's a ghost, she then sat down in the corner with Yuzu and Karen. "I am not sorry for yelling at all of you," Masaki said and held her chain. Yuzu, Karen, and Ryukin gasped. Masaki's chain was now only less than 2 feet compared to how long it was when they first saw her. "You know what hurts the most?" she asked as another link fell off her chain. Standing there, seeing Ichigo write everything and then stand outside ready to leave. "I saw him do all of this but couldn't do anything about it because of his ungrateful friends." She yelled and disappeared. Masaki Ishin yelled and was about to chase her down before Ryukin grabbed him. "Let go of me," he yelled. Urahara sighed and smacked Ishin in the back of the neck, knocking him out, Ryukin then dropping him on the floor. "Kurosaki and I are related?" Yuryu asked once Masaki's rant was over. "Yes, Yuryu. You and Ichigo are related," Ryukin said. "We will talk about this when we get back home." "Okay," Yuryu replied. "Well, I need to report all of this to the Soteicho," Yaruchi stated as she stood up. "Must you, Yaruchi?" Urahara asked. "She must, Urahara. Remember that she was just recently given her position as Taicho of the 2nd Division and commander of the Onmitsukido. If the Soteicho finds out that this happened and we covered it up, we all might get labeled as traitors," Toshiro said, though even he didn't want to tell the Soteicho either. "Come on, Shihoin Taicho. We need to go deliver the letter and report this to the Soteicho." "Yes," Yaruchi replied, and they and the rest of the Soul Reapers went through the Senkaman after opening it. At this point, Ishin regained consciousness and looked at Urahara. "Urahara, please help me try and fight." Ishin began. "No," Urahara interrupted. "Why?" Ishin asked as he got up. "I messed up a lot when it came to Ichigo. I tricked him into doing a lot of things, but he always ended up doing them no matter what it was. I then decided to listen to you and this is what happened. If Ichigo wishes to be left alone, then why should I go against his wishes?" Urahara said before forcing Ishin out of his shop. Soul Society, Yamamoto's office. "So, Ichigo Kurosaki left home due to your stupidity," Yamamoto stated more than asked after hearing the summaries of the Shinigami that had been at Urahara's shop. "Yes, Soteicho," they replied. "You're dismissed. Shihoin Taicho, stand by outside of my office," Yamamoto ordered. "Hi, Soteicho," they all stated before leaving his office. Yamamoto then opened up Ichigo's letter and began to read. "Hello, Yamajiji. If you are reading this letter, then you have more than likely already been briefed on what has happened. The reason why I wrote this letter to you concerns a few things. First, I'm calling in the various debts that Soul Society owes me. The first debt comes from my involvement in the Winter War. For that, I want you to make it difficult for the Soul Society to find me, whether you send your worst Shinigami to find me at the wrong places, or not tell Central 64 about me disappearing. The next debt I am calling in concerns the Bounce, Muramesa, Kasumiyaji, and all of the other messes I had to clean up for you. I request the creation of a special bank account at any bank of your choice and that you deposit whatever amount you deem worthy of dealing with all the Soul Society's problems that I named above. Second, I have information about an upcoming war. Yawatch will awaken and the Quincy War will resume once more. I was told from a trusted source that these Quincies will have some sort of equipment that will allow them to interfere with Bankai. Tell everyone who has a Bankai to figure out other methods to fight. In exchange for this information, I want you to provide my sisters, Yuzu and Karen, protection from this war, whether by placing them in a pocket dimension or by not allowing the war to enter Karakura town. Thank you, Yamamoto. Best regards. Ichigo Kurosaki. After Yamamoto finished reading the letter, many things went through his mind. Chief among them was that the Quincies will be back and the 1,000 Years' War will restart. Another was the source of Ichigo's information and the information itself. That the Quincies could be able to interfere with their Bankai is quite a terrifying problem. That boy no. That man seems to provide me with a lot of headaches, Yamamoto thought. Shihan Taicho, you may enter now. So Taicho ordered. Yaruchi complied and entered the office. I want you to find the most incompetent members of the Onmitsukido and have them track Ichigo Kurosaki down. So Taicho, why the most incompetent members? Shouldn't I send my best to track him down? Yaruchi asked, perplexed at the order. Normally yes, but this is Ichigo Kurosaki. In his letter to me, he is calling in the debt for defeating Aizen and requests to be left alone. We know that is impossible. We can, however, have our most incompetent people look for him. Yamamoto ordered. Of course, so Taicho. Anything else? Yaruchi asked with a small smile. In 1 hour, I will call a Taicho meeting regarding this topic. Make sure those involved show up. Yamamoto ordered. Hi, so Taicho. Yaruchi said before leaving with a Shuunpa. Main hall of the 1st Division. 1 hour later, all the Taicho and their Fukutaicho gathered for the meeting. Representing the 1st Division is, of course, Yamamoto and his Fukutaicho, Jojiro Sasakaibe. For the 2nd Division, the Taicho is Yaruchi with Suifong as her Fukutaicho. The 3rd Division is represented by Rojuro Odoribushi Taicho, better known as Rose, and his Fukutaicho is Zurukara. The ever-smiling Retsu Anohana Taicho and Aizen Kotetsu Fukutaicho represent the 4th Division, while Shinji Hirako and his longtime friend Hayori Saragaki represent the 5th Division. The 6th Division is represented by the ever-serious Byakuya Kuchiki Taicho and his Fukutaicho, Rinji Abarai. Sajin Kamamura Taicho and his Fukutaicho, Tetsuzeman Iba represent the 7th Division. The 8th Division is represented by Shunsui Kayarako Taicho and, surprisingly, his 2 Fukutaicho, Nanao Ayase and Lisa Yadamaru. Representing the 9th Division are Kensei Muguruma Taicho and his Fukutaicho Mashiro Kuna. The young-looking Toshiro Hitsugaya Taicho and the top-heavy Ranjiku Matsumoto Fukutaicho represent the 10th Division. 11th Division's Kenpachi Zaraki Taicho stands there representing his division with a skull, his Fukutaicho, Yuichiro Kusajishi atop of his shoulder like always. Representing the 12th Division are Mayuri Karatsuchi Taicho and his daughter, Ninu Karatsuchi Fukutaicho. Finally, Joshiro Yukatake Taicho represents the 13th Division alongside his Fukutaicho, Rukia Kuchiki. Most of those gathered were questioning the reason for the unscheduled meeting, except for the few who knew about the topic and the impending trouble that was about to happen. Order, Yamamoto commanded as he pounded his cane to the floor, attracting the attention of the Taicho and Fukutaicho. The meeting is now underway. Many of you must be wondering about the reason behind this meeting, so I'll be direct. As of this morning, Ichigo Kurosaki has gone missing. The reason for his disappearance is due to his feeling that everyone he cares about, from his friends here to his family back at home, abandoned him. Yamamoto stated. Immediately all of the wizards began shouting at that piece of news, each one remembering being told that Ichigo didn't want to interact with them. Order! Yamamoto yelled, slamming his cane down to regain their attention. Can Shihan Taicho, Hitsugaya Taicho, Kuchiki Fukutaicho and Abarai Fukutaicho explain to the other Taicho and Fukutaicho here gathered what happened? Rukia started. The others and I decided to spread the news that Ichigo did not wish to interact in any way with the spiritual world anymore. We did this under the instructions of his father, former 10th Division Taicho, Ishin Shiba, Hitsugaya added. This caused many to become angry at the four for lying and pushing Ichigo away. Now then, because of this, officially, we have sent some members of the Onmitsukido to track down Ichigo Kurosaki. Unofficially, we are doing nothing, Yamamoto stated. Many were surprised at this information, knowing Central 46 would order all available forces to hunt Ichigo down. There are two reasons why I am doing this. The first is the debt we own to Ichigo Kurosaki from the Winter War. The second is the information that Ichigo Kurosaki reported to me about a potential war coming in the future. Yamamoto answered, shocking many at the fact that another war would be going to start so soon. From this point forward, I want you all to perform Jinzen and talk to your Zanpakuto to find other ways to fight stronger foes without Bankai. The reason for this is that our future enemies are suspected of having a method to interfere with our Bankai. With that said, this ends our meeting. Carry on with your plans for the morning. Yamamoto slammed his cane down and dismissed everyone. Many were still processing the news of Ichigo going missing and the possibility that they would have to fight a war without their Bankai. The 5 members of the Wizards, however, pushed these thoughts to the back of their minds and quickly went to confront the ones they felt were partly responsible for Ichigo leaving. Enough! Toshiro yelled after the Wizards called them out on their stupidity for a few minutes. Do you all think that we need to be constantly reminded of our mistake? Do you think we didn't try to do something about it? We all want what is best for Ichigo. We did not do it correctly the first time, but we'll do it now. He wishes to be left alone, and that is what we will do. Toshiro promised before leaving the group and going back to his quarters. Scene change, Kyoto. A few days after leaving Karakura, Ichigo was wandering through Kyoto. He did not know why, but something was calling him towards this city. Another oddity was that Zangetsu was excited. Not his normal blood-hungry type of excitement, but something else, which made Ichigo very worried and on edge. While walking down the street, Ichigo heard a girl scream for help. Turning around, he saw a little girl no older than an elementary school student being kidnapped by 3 individuals. Seeing this, Ichigo immediately confronted them. Running at them, he grabbed one of the kidnappers and punched him in the face. The second and third kidnappers saw this and went to attack Ichigo, but he quickly took care of them. The 3 regrouped and summoned weapons. One summoned an axe, another a sword, and the third a knife. Ichigo drew Kokogetsu and went for the attack. Hey, girl! Run and hide. After I finish this, I'll help you get back home. Ichigo yelled as he slashed the sword-wielding kidnapper in the chest, killing him. The girl heard this and hid behind a dumpster. After seeing the girl hide, Ichigo made quick work of the other 2 and used a little hellfire to destroy their bodies. Little girl, it's safe to come out now, Ichigo said once the kidnappers were nothing but ash. The girl came out of her hiding spot and Ichigo took note of her appearance. She had golden blonde hair tied in a ponytail and matching eyes. She also had 9 golden foxtails and matching ears. She wore traditional Miko outfit and tall geta with white tabi. The sleeves of her haori featured a giant red star-shaped pentagram, surrounded by 5 smaller pentagrams in between the points. Hey, kid. My name is Ichigo. What's your name? Ichigo asked politely, trying to not scare the child. I'm Konu. Thank you for helping. The newly named Konu thanked her savior. You're welcome, little one. Are you lost? Ichigo asked. A little, she admitted with a cute wince. Wait. Aren't you scared or surprised about me having fox ears and tails? She questioned, surprised at how blasé Ichigo was acting after seeing her admittedly odd appearance. No. I have seen many things and something like a person with animal characteristics doesn't faze me. Ichigo answered truthfully. Hey, are you hungry? Want to go and get something to eat? No, thank you. Kuno started before her stomach growled and she blushed in embarrassment. Well, it looks like your stomach doesn't agree with you. Come on, let's go find somewhere to eat. Ichigo said and extended his hand for her to hold. She accepted his hand. She reapplied an illusion, hiding her inhuman traits. After walking around for a few minutes, the 2 found a ramen cart. Ichigo found it amusing when Kuno had issues with using chopsticks and a spoon at the same time. He ended up feeding Kuno, which made many of the other costumers comment about how cute they looked together, like a father and his daughter. Ichigo tried to correct them, but then Kuno said, "Papa, more please," wooing many of the females there due to how cute she looks. When Ichigo went to pay for the meal, the owner told him that the meal was on the house since their presence attracted a lot of customers. Ichigo noticed how crowded the streets were now and decided to have Kuno sit upon his shoulders to prevent them from getting separated. She was ecstatic at being on Ichigo's shoulders due to him being 183 centimeters 6 feet tall. "Hey Kuno," Ichigo called for her attention. "Yes, Papa?" Kuno replied. Ichigo sighed on the inside at Kuno still calling him that. "Let's get you back to your home, okay?" Ichigo suggested. "Okay," she agreed. "I get to show you, Mama," she added happily. Ichigo sighed again and the two eventually started walking towards the young one's home, Kuno instructing Ichigo where to go. 20 minutes later, they eventually approached a big shrine in the forests of Kyoto. "Is this the right place, Kuno?" Ichigo asked. "Yes, Papa," Kuno replied. "All right then," Ichigo said and began to walk towards the gate. "Halt! Who goes there?" Two guards asked as they ran outside of the gate to confront the Ichigo and Kuno. "I am here to take her back to her mother," Ichigo told them, tensing his muscles in case anything happened. The two guards looked up at his shoulders and saw Kuno sitting there and waving. "Hello, Tadu." "Hello, Kasaki," she greeted the two. The two guards of the shrine, Aizen Tadu and Heizo Kasaki, were quite surprised at a stranger having their leader's daughter on his shoulders. "Hime-sama," they yelled and bowed their heads. "Hime-sama?" Ichigo questioned. "Papa, let's go," she said. "Okay, Kuno," Ichigo replied and began to walk forward. "Halt, stranger. We do not know how you have Hime-sama, but you are not allowed to enter." Both Tadu and Kasaki yelled. Kuno, annoyed that the shrine's guards are making it difficult for her papa to meet her mama, asked Ichigo to knock them out. Ichigo decided to indulge her and used the handle of Tsuki no Hansha to knock the two guards unconscious. Kuno then guided Ichigo to the main hall of the shrine, and as Ichigo arrived there, he saw 10 other yokai in battle stances facing him while a woman sat on a throne-like chair. Yasaka started to yell before getting interrupted. "Mama!" Kuno yelled as she waved at her mother. "Kuno!" The woman shrieked before running to her daughter. Ichigo took a knee to let Kuno down and hug her mother. After a few moments, the woman ended the hug and began to scold her daughter. "Why did you leave the shrine? I told you that you're not allowed to leave the temple without 2 escorts and with my permission." "Sorry, Mama. But look. I found Papa," she said. "Papa?" Yasaka questioned. She then looked up and noticed Ichigo still standing there. "And you are?" she asked. "Sorry. My name is Ichigo Kurosaki. I found Kuno here being kidnapped." Ichigo began and Yasaka quickly got angry. "So I killed them and took Kuno to lunch since she was hungry. She couldn't eat the ramen properly, so I fed her and some people ended up mistaking us for father and daughter. That seems to have stuck in her cute little head and she has been calling me that since we left the ramen stand." Ichigo told Yasaka. "I see," Yasaka said. She then felt a mental nudge, meaning that her goddess wished to talk to Ichigo. "Everyone but Kurosaki-san, get out," she yelled, and the yokai guards obediently and quickly ran out of the main hall, carrying an angry Kuno with them. After the doors were closed and Yasaka made sure that no one was attempting to spy on them, she focused her attention on her guest. "Ichigo, my mistress wishes to talk to you," Yasaka said. "Who?" Ichigo asked before Yasaka's body began to float and her eyes began to glow a golden color. "Hello, Ichigo," Yasaka said in a different tone of voice. "Who are you?" Ichigo asked. "The mother of all Nihonjin, Japanese people. The mother of all Shinigami. More importantly, the mother to an Ichigo Kurosaki." Yasaka said, but Ichigo noticed that it wasn't her speaking. Amaterasu, Ichigo thought, recalling Amaterasu's legend. "Yes, my son. And I must say, I am very proud of what you have done to help my oldest son out. Amaterasu said. Oldest son? Ichigo asked. Yes. He goes by that stupid title of Soul King. Amaterasu said. The Soul King is your son? Ichigo asked in surprise. Yes, he is, Amaterasu confirmed. How? All of the legends and lore I've read never mention this. Ichigo inquired. Well, all those legends have everything mostly correct. What isn't said is that, when my first son refused to become the Emperor of Japan, I allowed him to rule the balance of life and death and he named himself King of Souls. My second son also refused to become the Emperor of Japan as he desired his brother's position. As you can imagine, my two sons fought each other for many years. Eventually, my eldest son won the battle and inflicted the killing blow to his younger brother. Throughout the battle, my youngest lost many of his limbs or had them damaged. Due to the blessings on my eldest son's blade, all wounds my youngest received can never heal. Then, in his arrogance, my eldest kicked his brother off of heaven. As my youngest fell out of heaven, everything except one fragment of his soul was destroyed. That one small fragment held the eternal rage and hatred towards his older brother and attached itself to a freshly pregnant couple. Amaterasu explained. This surprised Yawatch as he had never known about this detail. This was why, when I was born, I had almost nothing, Yawatch said as he manifested, Zangetsu, Kyoka, and Hogyoku also manifesting after him. Yes, my youngest son, Amaterasu replied. Hello, mother. Both Yawatch and Zangetsu greeted as they bowed. Hello, Zangetsu. Hello, Yawatch. Amaterasu replied. Do you wish to finish the story or shall I? I can finish it, mother, Yawatch said before turning to Ichigo. When I was born, I had nothing. I couldn't see, hear, talk, or touch. I had nothing except for one thing, the desire to live. Due to my small amount of divinity, I was able to heal all who touched me. Wait. How could you heal others when you couldn't heal yourself? Ichigo interrupted. As mother said, my brother's blade cursed me. It prevented any of my wounds to be healed. However, the ability to heal others, especially mortals, took little of my energy to do. Yawatch said. Instead of normal healing, however, I gave those people a small fragment of my soul. That small fragment allowed them to gain something that they were missing. It could be a mental thing, such as loneliness or fear, by giving them companionship and courage. Sometimes it was something physical, like a leg or lung. The cost is that small fragment I gave them copied everything that person had. Memories, skills, talents, all were recorded into that soul fragment. Once that person died, that fragment returned to me with the soul of the host. This process allowed my body to heal differently. Before, my body would just will itself to be healed. Now, I used the souls of the hosts to rebuild my body. However, the curse still ate away at everything. Even now, my main body requires souls to prevent the curse from destroying it. Yawatch said. Years later, I had formed a massive society and had my own army to attack my elder brother with. He, however, had also formed an army of his own. The Quincies and the Shinigami. Ichigo voiced what he had realized. Correct. The two sides fought, but Yhwach knew that he was losing, so he gave his strongest Quincies a special medallion. It allowed their soul to be transported into a pocket dimension that Yhwach himself created. To the soldiers, he told them to fight on, and to the citizens, to scatter, and that someday he would return. After that, Yhwach died temporarily and went to his secret dimension. There, he slept and recovered while the few soldiers of his left slowly found more men and women to reform his army with. While he slept, for his body to heal from the lack of souls, Yhwach used his powers to heal himself without the souls. It took longer, but, eventually, he finished. Then June 17th happened. Yawatch said. The day Mom died. Ichigo frowned. Yes. On July 17th, Yhwach used a technique called Oswallen. It is a technique where all mixed blood Quincies have all of their powers stripped and given to Yhwach. Although your mother was considered a pure-blooded Quincy, she had been tainted by Hollow Ryatsu. Oswalin thus considered her a mixed blood, so her powers were stripped and you know the rest. So, Yhwach is the main reason Mom is dead? Ichigo concluded. Not fully, Amaterasu said. What? How so? Ichigo asked in confusion. My eldest son also had something to do with Masaki's death, Amaterasu revealed. How? Ichigo asked with an angry scowl. My eldest knew that, sometime in June, Yhwach would use Oswalin. For that entire month, he ordered no Shinigami to be in Karakura town. Amaterasu said. How would you know that? Ichigo asked. My eldest son created a figure to act in his place while he goes somewhere else. He is probably in another dimension and hanging out with his stupid uncle. Amaterasu revealed, shaking Yasaka's head in disappointment at her son's actions. While he was away, I looked at his archives and found his royal decree. Why would he do that? Ichigo asked. Well, my eldest knew of Aizen's attempt to test you. He wanted to stage it as an accident to kill you. Amaterasu stated with a sad frown. What? Why? Ichigo asked, quite furious at the Soul King's action. His spirits were right behind him in the angry department. Because you are more naturally in tune with the Japanese balance than he is, Ichigo. In all technicalities, you are more suited to become the one who balances life and death than him. This fact led my eldest to become paranoid, and so he allowed Aizen's experiment to happen, hoping that you would die. Once it was revealed that you lived, he decided to let fate have its way with you. Amaterasu explained. So Aizen, Yhwach and the Soul King are all involved in my mother's death? Ichigo concluded. Yes, my son. It would also explain why Yhwach tried to prevent you from becoming a Shinigami at first. Amaterasu said. What? Ichigo exclaimed in shock and then turned to Yhwach. He also noticed Zangetsu glare at Yhwach with a frown. Allow Yhwach to explain himself before you jump to conclusions. I didn't want you to become a Shinigami. That's why I tried to suppress your growing potential, and always tried to be the core of your power. Yhwach revealed. Why? Ichigo questioned. Is it strange for me to want to keep you away from fights and danger? If you became a Shinigami, you would inevitably be involved in fights. You would be hurt. You would suffer. And one day, I would have to kill you with my own hands. I couldn't let you become a Shinigami. If you become one, I'd have to kill you. Yhwach said sadly. So I thought. However, you eventually did become a Shinigami. You had a chance, trained hard, and, despite getting hurt and suffering, you chose to pursue that path. Whenever I saw you like that, my heart would waver. Eventually, instead of stopping you from becoming a Shinigami, I started to help you in your path. Thank you for explaining your reasons, Yhwach, Ichigo said. And Zangetsu, thank you for taking care of Ichigo, especially since you had to deal with Yhwach and my son's stubbornness, Amaterasu said. No problem, Mom. Thank you for getting Tsukuyomi-sama's blessing for my powers. Zangetsu thanked the goddess. No problem, Zangetsu. I saw that Ichigo's life would be tragic, so I gave his soul the strongest blessing I could. That was you. Amaterasu explained. Now then, Ichigo. I know you went on this journey to get away from your friends and family. But even you must know that at some point, you must return to them. I know, Ka-san. Ichigo sighed. To think they still need my intervention for their wars. When will it be over, Ka-san? When will I no longer need to fight their battles? Ichigo questioned. I do not know, my son. I will tell you this, though. You will not be alone. You have my sons, Yhwach and Zangetsu. And you also have the Hogyoku and Kyoka Suigetsu. You are never alone, Ichigo. Amaterasu reassured, if fate is a millstone, then we are the grist. Amaterasu started. There is nothing we can do. So I wish for strength. If I cannot protect them from the wheel, then give me a strong blade, and enough strength to shatter fate. Ichigo finished. Thank you, Ka-san. Ichigo thanked her. Yasaka's body then slowly floated down and her eyes stopped glowing. So, you are Ichigo Kurosaki, hero of the Winter War, Yasaka stated once she got her bearings back. Letting Amaterasu-sama take over her body was always an odd experience. Yes, Ichigo confirmed. Should we call Kunu back in? I think the guards are having problems keeping an eye on her. Yasaka laughed a little at that and opened the door, allowing a little blonde bullet to run inside and tackle Ichigo. Ichigo caught her and lifted her up. Papa! You didn't get hurt from seeing Mama. Kunu voiced her surprise and happiness, getting Ichigo to chuckle. Yes, your mother and I had a interesting conversation. It's getting late though, so I better get going, Ichigo said. No, Papa. Kunu cried and grabbed Ichigo's leg. Kurosaki-san, Yasaka started to say. Please call me Ichigo, Yasaka-san. I am not into formalities. Ichigo interrupted. I see. To be fair then, call me Yasaka. Yasaka replied. Okay, Ichigo said. Now, like I was saying, I insist you stay for the night, Ichigo. She said. Are you sure? Ichigo asked. I am. Based on my daughter's reaction to you, you are welcome here anytime. Yasaka said with a smile. All right then. Ichigo agreed. Later, during dinner, Yasaka explained to Ichigo that she is a priestess at this shrine and able to talk to Amaterasu-sama. Not only that, but she is also the technical ruler of the yokai in Japan. Eventually, Kunu's bedtime arrived and Ichigo carried her to bed. Papa? Kunu called out to him as Ichigo tucked her in. Yes, Kunu? Ichigo replied. Can you please tell me a bedtime story? Kunu asked. Sure. Ichigo agreed with a smile, recalling how his sisters used to ask for the same thing. Ichigo looked around to see if there was a book for him to read. Unfortunately, there wasn't, so he decided to tell her the story of Romeo and Juliet. As he recounted the story, Kunu eventually fell asleep. Ichigo then left the room and met a maid outside waiting for him. She escorted Ichigo to his room, where he changed to some sleeping clothes and went to sleep. Time skip, next morning. The next morning came and Ichigo decided it was time to leave. Kunu was sad that her papa was leaving, but Ichigo told her that he would come back and visit her and Yasaka. As he walked out of Kyoto, Ichigo wondered where to go next. According to Yasaka, in Japan, there are a lot of strange things that will be happening in the months to come. In the East, there's something involving Egyptian mythology. In the West, something involving summoning spirits. In the North, something involving God and devils, while in the Southwest has something involving wizards and witches. Honestly, he was amazed at how the Japanese government doesn't get involved with all of this going on under their noses. Hogyoku then interrupted his thoughts. Sorry, Ichigo, but I need to tell you something, Hogyoku said. Yes? Ichigo asked. I detected a similar reiatsu to that of a sinner just now. She informed. Really? Ichigo questioned in surprise. Yes, Ichigo. Do you not trust my sensing skills? Hogyoku questioned in mock anger. No. I just wanted to clarify it. Ichigo said, not wanting to anger her. Do you have a lock on that reiatsu? Yes, I do, Hogyoku said. Looks like the next thing to do is find that sinner, Ichigo said and ripped a garganta open in the air and jumped in. That wraps up this part of What If Overpowered Ichigo Left Karakura Town. Since this is now the 4th ongoing series on the channel, new parts will drop every 4 days, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and please consider supporting the author as well. See you in the next one.